In the beginning of the episode, the scene is set in a world where one's fate is determined by their awakening. The camera pans over a vast landscape, showing a world filled with towering mountains and ancient ruins. The narrator explains that in this world, the power to awaken transcendent abilities is what sets individuals apart. Amidst this backdrop, we are introduced to our main lead, a man who appears to be in his late 30s. He is shown engaged in a fierce battle with a monstrous creature. The man fights with all his might, using his own power to combat the beast. After a grueling struggle, he finally manages to land a fatal blow, slaying the monster. It becomes evident that he is the protagonist of this manhwa. As the man catches his breath, he mutters to himself, "I can finally use my own power to defeat a Before he can finish his sentence, a voice interrupts him, shouting, "Hey, unawakened!" Startled, the man turns to see a group of people nearby. They are engaged in a desperate fight against a horde of monsters. One of them, clearly frustrated, yells at the man, "What are you doing? If you're a porter, then you should do your job and collect the drops." Another person, standing next to him, adds, "Do you see the monster corpses? Do you think we hired someone like you to fool around?" The main lead, taken aback, quickly apologizes, realizing his mistake. The camera pans out to reveal the chaotic scene before the main lead. There are numerous monsters surrounding him, and the other fighters are engaged in a fierce battle. The main lead's face reflects a mix of regret and embarrassment as he realizes the gravity of the situation. He is treated with disdain and contempt by those around him, a clear indication of the discrimination faced by the unawakened in this world. In his mind, the main lead reflects on the changes that occurred after the discovery of the Abyss. The narrator explains that the Abyss is another dimension where monsters that were once confined to fantasies actually exist. The discovery of the Abyss led to the awakening of transcendental powers in people, enabling them to defeat monsters and explore this dangerous realm. The standards by which individuals were judged shifted from personality and effort to their awakening rank. Those with high awakening ranks were guaranteed a good life, while the unawakened, like the main lead, were left behind. The main lead's inner monologue continues as he laments his own situation. He has never awakened his powers, and at the age of 35, he has never even opened a status window. He feels trapped in a life of carrying cargo for the awakened, forever denied the opportunities and privileges they enjoy. Interrupting his thoughts, the main lead exclaims, "I got all of the booty from this Sid." However, his words trail off as he turns to face a horrifying sight. The ground is littered with lifeless bodies, and there is not a single survivor in sight. His eyes widen in shock as he realizes that the two people who were shouting at him just moments ago are among the fallen. Unable to comprehend the situation, the main lead stammers, "What? They died?" Before he can finish his sentence, a deep, ominous voice resonates through the air, sending chills down his spine. "You're the last one left," it declares. The main lead's heart races as he slowly turns around, only to come face to face with a monstrous being of unimaginable proportions. The creature, known as Asmodeus, stands tall as a 10-story building, its form composed of countless skulls and possessing 6 long, menacing arms. Fear grips the main lead, but he refuses to let himself be consumed by it. Despite the overwhelming odds, he musters his courage and attempts to attack Asmodeus. However, with a mere wave of its hands, Asmodeus unleashes a devastating force that obliterates the main lead's right hand. Agonizing pain courses through his body, and he cries out in anguish and despair. In the midst of his suffering, the main lead shouts, "What kind of monster is this?" His voice echoes in the desolate landscape, but there is no answer. As he tries to back away, the monster swiftly closes the distance between them, impaling him with one of its appendages. The main lead gasps for breath, realizing that his life is slipping away. In his final moments, a torrent of thoughts floods the main lead's mind. He reflects on the hardships he has endured throughout his life, the loss of his parents in a car accident, the relentless bullying he faced in school, and the constant feeling of being ignored for being unawakened. He questions how his life could end in such a manner, merely as a porter carrying cargo for others. Just as he resigns himself to his fate, a voice breaks through the darkness proclaiming, "Awakening!" The voice declares that all awakening conditions have been satisfied. Suddenly, a blinding light envelops the main lead, and he feels a presence descending upon him. When the light subsides, he opens his eyes to behold a godly being before him. The being is resplendent, with long, flowing white hair and an aura of immense power. The main lead is awestruck, unable to comprehend the situation unfolding before him. He stammers, "What? I definitely—" Before he can finish his sentence, the godly being interrupts, saying, "Ha ha, you're focused on someone like Asmodeus stopping?" Confusion fills the main lead's eyes as he asks, Who are you?" The godly being chuckles and replies, "Who knows? Some call me king, but you don't have to worry about that." The main lead's mind races with questions, but the godly being assures him that he has been chosen due to his will and tenacity. The godly being hints at bestowing authority upon him, but cautions that such miracles are rare. Overwhelmed by the situation, the main lead pleads for an explanation, but the godly being simply tells him to wait patiently for his time. The godly being extends a hand towards the main lead, and a radiant light emanates from it. The godly being declares, "My key." In the next moment, everything goes blank. As the main lead slowly regains consciousness, he hears voices around him. His eyes flutter open, revealing a blurry scene. He realizes that someone is shouting at him, exclaiming, "Hey, this bastard's sleeping. Crazy fucker. Now he's completely ignoring us." With great effort, the main lead manages to open his eyes a little wider, where he finds himself in a familiar yet distressing situation, being bullied by his classmates. In this new timeline, Kim Taehyun is confronted by 3 individuals who are physically assaulting him. Among them, he recognizes one of the bullies as Bae Hyuk-soo, the same person who had tormented him during his high school days. The sight of Bae Hyuk-soo triggers a surge of anger and frustration within Kim Taehyun. In his mind, Kim Taehyun questions how it is possible for the person who bullied him in high school to be present in this moment. He recalls being in the abyss just moments ago and wonders if he has truly traveled back in time. As one of the bullies demands a response from him, Kim Taehyun realizes that he was indeed in the abyss until recently. Amidst the chaos, Kim Taehyun's attention is drawn to a status window that appears before him. The window displays his name, Kim Taehyun, and reveals that he holds an F rank. This revelation confirms that he has indeed traveled back 16 years into the past. The sight of the status window raises questions in Kim Taehyun's mind about the nature of this phenomenon. As the realization sinks in, Kim Taehyun's laughter fills the air, surprising both the bullies and himself. The bullies, who were expecting fear and submission from their victim, are taken aback by Kim Taehyun's sudden change in demeanor. One of the bullies, puzzled by Kim Taehyun's laughter, questions his sanity. In response, Kim Taehyun stands up with newfound confidence and delivers a powerful punch to the bully who had been tormenting him. The force of the blow sends the bully crashing to the ground, leaving the other 2 bullies in a state of shock. Kim Taehyun's laughter continues as he revels in the realization that he has awakened. The bully Bae Hyuk-soo lies on the ground, defeated, while Kim Taehyun stands tall and triumphant. The other 2 bullies, witnessing this unexpected turn of events, are filled with a mix of surprise and fear. However, their surprise quickly turns into aggression as the remaining 2 bullies launch an attack on Kim Taehyun. Unfazed by their assault, Kim Taehyun effortlessly dodges their attacks and retaliates with swift punches and kicks. His movements display a level of skill and precision that the bullies had not anticipated. In the midst of the intense fight, Kim Taehyun's mind drifts back to his past. He reflects on the 35 years he spent as an unawakened individual, dedicating himself to physical training, acquiring knowledge about the abyss and monsters, and honing his interpersonal combat skills. He realizes that all his efforts have prepared him for this moment, and he refuses to be defeated by untrained thugs. As the fight continues, one of the bullies, whom Kim Taehyun had initially punched, rises to his feet and reveals his awakened power, the ability to cover his body with rocks. he launches a relentless assault on Kim Taehyun, who struggles to evade the barrage of attacks due to his growing exhaustion. In a momentary distraction, Kim Taehyun notices Bae Hyuk-soo preparing to attack from above. Reacting swiftly, Kim Taehyun manages to evade the attack just in time. However, the exertion and distraction leave him vulnerable, and he sustains severe injuries from the subsequent assault. Bae Hyuk-soo, reveling in his apparent victory, taunts Kim Taehyun, mocking his unawakened status and belittling him. Kim Taehyun's mind races as he contemplates his next move. He acknowledges that awakened individuals possess skills and ranks, with higher ranks indicating superior abilities. Despite possessing the worst rank, Kim Taehyun feels a surge of power within him, a power that defies his lowly status. A red aura envelops Kim Taehyun, emanating a strong pressure that surprises Bae Hyuk-soo. The bully is taken aback by the sudden display of power from someone he had considered insignificant. Kim Taehyun realizes that this newfound power is the skill he obtained from the godly being, a skill called Predation. With his newfound power, Kim Taehyun effortlessly blocks Bae Hyuk-soo's attacks, leaving the bully astonished and bewildered. Kim Taehyun then utilizes his Predation skill to destroy Bae Hyuk-soo's rock-based ability, resulting in a massive explosion on the rooftop where they are fighting. The dust settles, revealing Kim Taehyun standing tall and victorious, while Bae Hyuk-soo lies on the ground, barely clinging to life. The system, which had been observing the events, announces that the predation has been completed. As a result, Kim Taehyun's rank changes to E, signifying a significant improvement. Additionally, he acquires a new skill called Stone Skin, which he had copied from Bae Hyuk-soo. At the school clinic, the nurse is surprised with the patient that had come in. It was Kim Taehyun with the two bullies in his arms, and the other one was placed lying down by the door. Kim Taehyun, looking like he's also about to pass out, still managed to politely and calmly greet the nurse. The nurse couldn't help but to let out a scream from the confusion and shock. After the fight ended, Kim Taehyun still initiated to bring everyone to the clinic, and with the nurse's healing ability, she treated Kim Taehyun. When she asked how they got injured, Kim Taehyun naturally lied to her by saying that they just rolled down the stairs, and surprisingly, he managed to deceive her. After the treatment, he walked on the streets as his thoughts wandered. He felt good that he had awakened and finally got revenge on Bae Hyuk-soo, but there was still a problem. Kim Taehyun is portrayed in the center, while a branch of a tree with thorns in spiral shape is on his backdrop. This seemed to be his ability, the Predation, which is one of his concerns at the moment. His rank that he barely got to change after training for his entire life instantly increased after a single fight. His rank may be an F rank, but the power exceeds that of a C rank. In addition to that, he can even steal the skills of the opponents that he had defeated. As he ascended the stairs, he started wondering why the white figure called King gave him that power and even made him go back in time. The countless questions filled his head. Despite that, with a fierce look, he knew that there's one thing that he needed to do. He stood at the gate of a 3-story house, determined to find out more about Predation. He smiled as he uttered that it has been a while since he came home after his parents had passed away. He stayed with his uncle. He pictured his uncle and his family, and his smile grew wider. He entered the house as he planned his search for information while his uncle was out. As the living room came into view, he was shocked by what he had witnessed. A man is sitting in a single chair, while 2 people with their faces covered on each side, and a boy is crouched on the floor to clean up the scattered money. This boy is also surprised to see Kim Taehyun. The boy seemed surprised and in panic as he uttered, "Kim Taehyun." Kim Taehyun also called out to the kid named Wang Ying and asked why the boy isn't in school. Then his attention was drawn somewhere as he focused on the money scattered on the ground. He couldn't help but see Wang Ying as a mean person, because even before he went back in time, he remembered how Wang Ying used to hang out with the other bullies and even took all the money from their home, causing a big problem. Kim Taehyun watched Wang Ying whisper to the guy who just stood up. Kim Taehyun realized that a major incident from the past is actually happening today. One of the guys voiced out that he was actually wondering who just entered, but it was just Ying's cousin. He advised Kim Taehyun that to avoid getting into a fight, he should stay out of it and just go on his way quietly. He also promised Kim Taehyun that they would only take what they needed and then go away. They proceeded to insult Kim Taehyun by patting his head and calling him unawakened older brother. Kim Taehyun stared at him with a blank expression, and a sinister smile crept on his face as he commented how perfect the situation is and declared that he wants to test something. This confused the guy who was mocking him earlier. Instantly, Kim Taehyun delivered a punch. This made the guy cough up as his body collided with the ground. Wang Ying and the two covered guys were shocked to see this and were instantly in an alarmed stance. Kim Taehyun went on the top of the guy to land another attack. As his hand was about to reach the guy's face, the guy tried to stop it by screaming, "Wait!" But this did not stop Kim Taehyun as he proceeded to use his skill Predation. The three other guys in the room continued to watch the scenario in front of them. Kim Taehyun smiled in anticipation. His expression changed into disappointment when he received the notification that the Predation function is inaccessible. The guy beneath him looked horrified and confused when Kim Taehyun suddenly froze in disappointment and confusion. Sweat dripped down his face as the reality that the Predation didn't activate started sinking in. The guy took this as an opportunity to fight back as he raised his fist, and with a strong impact, it landed on Kim Taehyun's face. Kim Taehyun groaned loudly as his back collided on the floor. The guy screamed at him to die, while the other two covered guys assumed a combative stance. They used their ability with one guy having a C-rank bind skill and the other one releasing his C-rank poison skill. The leader activated his C-rank bleed skill in a perfect synchrony. The three attacks were about to close in on Kim Taehyun, who was struggling to keep himself up. Once he was able to lift up his head, he was surprised to see this, and a loud, bright light exploded from inside the house towards the outside. Purple smoke covered the entire room. The guy who appeared to be the leader expressed how he pretended to be awakened. He commented that Kim Taehyun should know his place. His confident demeanor turned into shock and confusion as he witnessed the scene in front of him. Amidst the smoke, he can see the silhouette of Kim Taehyun standing still, and a notification screen indicated that the usage of skill has been detected. Another notification showed that bind, poison, and bleed have been confirmed. These attacks covered the area, but Kim Taehyun's body remained still as it glowed with bright light. A notification appeared containing the information that due to a mysterious power, resistance was successful. Kim Taehyun's hand is starting to get covered in stones, while he smiled and commented how his skill unexpectedly did not work, but then it neutralized skills out of the blue. He declared that he still doesn't know what's going on, but he focused on the leader of the guys who still had the surprised expression on his face. Immediately, the leader was brought down to the ground by Kim Taehyun's stone-covered hand. Kim Taehyun seemed to be pleased with how strong his power is, while he had an ecstatic look on his face. The leader's face was damaged, and he even lost a tooth. We see Kim Taehyun staring down the defeated men lay on the floor in front of him. He seemed to be pleased with the two things that he had learned because of them. One of the things he learned is that the status window that's only visible for the awakened had detailed information, but not all of it is displayed. He was aware of having sufficient mana, yet Predation didn't activate, suggesting that factors beyond mana influenced its use. Additionally, an undisclosed passive effect of a Predation skill exists capable of countering skills related to abnormal conditions like poisoning or bleeding, although this isn't mentioned in the skill description. With a hand on his jaw, he thought of gradually confirming whether his speculations are correct. His thoughts were diverted to the pressing concern at the moment. He asked what Wang Ying was doing when he saw him bowing to him with great enthusiasm despite his sweat and snot dripping. Wang Ying declared that after he saw his cousin's impressive side, he is reflecting on his actions. He then asked for Kim Taehyun's forgiveness. Kim Taehyun remained silent with a deadpan expression on his face. Wang Ying said he'd do anything, Kim Taehyun asked, like licking his shoes or even pretending to be a dog. But deep down, Kim Taehyun thought Wang Ying was really sad. He always knew his cousin was a bit tricky, but he didn't realize it was that bad. He had a disgusted look on his face when he heard Wang Ying barked like a dog. He didn't plan to give more energy into this since the urgent issue isn't his cousin. Since there was another incident that will happen that day, the said incident would have to do something about a red humongous entity with 4 eyes. This entity is covering the sky, but people in the busy street don't seem to notice. Kim Taehyun informed Wang Ying that he will forgive him. This made Wang Ying enthusiastic and happy, but Kim Taehyun continued that he wants something in return, and that is for Wang Ying to accompany him to finish a task in a restricted place. Dark clouds cover the sky. The entrance to this place has signage which warns that the area is restricted and only authorized personnel are allowed. One man in a suit and 2 women are inside the area and are occupied with the scenario in front of them. They realized that it was a gate break. They watched how monsters showed up from a barrier gate break, a phenomenon where monsters appear as a path to the abyss suddenly opens up. If left unattended, a dungeon disaster will occur. The man commented on how it has been 10 years since the last dungeon break. He explained that the gate was suddenly created, so the monsters came swarming. One of the women expressed that, judging from the monsters, if they don't do anything, the dungeon disaster is only moments away. The other woman panicked and asked if they should get the neighborhood areas to evacuate. Someone answered that there's no need for that, it was the man in a suit. He confidently explained that they already have a skill B rank barrier on their side. This barrier is shown to prevent monsters from passing through their world. The man continued to explain that the gate break is only at C rank. While he explains that the monsters are forcefully trying to break through the barrier, the man added that since it's just C rank, it would mean that the monsters that come out of the gate are also C rank, indicating that the monsters are not strong enough to break through the barrier. The monsters continued to persist in breaking the barrier, so much so that the barrier started having cracks. The man continued to explain something, but he stopped mid-sentence as the barrier behind him broke, and the monsters started getting out. The 2 women witnessed this, and they called out to their team leader with a hint of concern. The man immediately turned around, and with a single kick, he was able to defeat several monsters at once. He told the ladies that, as B rankers, they were better equipped to handle the situation. Using his powerful attack, he managed to remove a monster's head. Wang Ying ran fast as he asked this sir if everything should be all right. He tried to convince sir that since he knew the control personnel were there, everything should be all right. Kim Taehyun told him to stop calling him sir. Kim Taehyun confirmed that when Wang Ying is right, since the gate break's initial mana estimate is C rank. On the other hand, the control personnel are B rank, so there won't be any issues against C rank opponents. Wang Ying enthusiastically told him that it was exactly what he said, but Kim Taehyun revealed that everything's okay if it's actually a C rank dungeon. This revelation shocked and horrified him. A pile of dead monsters' bodies has been scattered in the restricted area. The man in the suit inspected the bodies while thinking how strange the situation was. He couldn't fathom how the low-rank monsters pierced through his B-rank barrier, and a thought suddenly came to his mind. The possibility that the mana overflowing in the area is actually above his rank. One of the women called his attention to inform him of something unusual in the gate. They saw several mean-looking monsters exiting the gate, and among these is one humongous monster with several sharp teeth. They continued to observe this monster as it kept pushing through the barrier, and the monster opened its wide mouth to let out a horrifying roar. The man's eyes widened in shock. He asked what that thing was, yet the monster let out another loud roar as it fully broke the barrier, and more monsters passed through the barrier with it. The giant monster is being so loud with its roar. This monster is called a giant ogre, and it's an A-rank monster. The man had a horrified expression on his face as he realized that the gate break is not C rank, but it was actually A rank. In a split second, flames engulfed his vision. Loud explosions happened consecutively. The area was covered in flames. Wang Ying continued to talk while running. He assumed Kim Taehyun was right, but he couldn't shake the idea that it's ridiculous. He asked his cousin how he knew such a thing. Kim Taehyun only answered in his mind. He couldn't tell him that he had already gone through this before he regressed. Wang Ying told him, aside from the fact that they haven't seen the monsters, and an evacuation order wasn't even issued. Kim Taehyun answered, intuition. This confused Wang Ying. Kim Taehyun explained that his intuition says so, but Wang Ying has caught on to his lie. Wang Ying was telling his cousin not to fool him, but he stopped mid-sentence as they heard a loud scream in front of them. Humans were running for their lives as the monsters chased them. The people told them to run because there had been a gate break. More people screamed and asked for help because of the terrified scene in front of him. Wang Ying turned pale, and his mind went blank. Kim Taehyun remained calm and asked him if he remembered what to do. He then urged him to do it. Wang Ying hesitated and asked what would happen to his cousin. His eyes grew wide. Kim Taehyun told him that he will get rid of those monsters and be right behind him. Kim Taehyun walked towards the monsters as his body was starting to be covered with stones. Meanwhile, a large, tall building is being lit by several lights from different angles. A man looking over the city lights admitted that the situation is escalating quickly. He explained that the gate break that was thought to be C rank turned out to be A rank. They can't expect reinforcements since others are busy in dungeon conquests and abyss exploration. He looked at the person that he was talking to and revealed that the only solution is an awakened A rank with a hint of desperation. He told this person that he's the only hope. He requested this person's help. He called the person An Hyun-soo, the Blade of Lunacy. He's an A rank awakened. This person had tears falling in his eyes as he bit his lip with determination evident in his eyes. He told everyone to hang in there as he will come to them soon. A status window indicates that his special skill is 8th grade syndrome. A monster can be seen being hit on the head, and then another monster is hit on its face, and another one has been knocked out by Kim Taehyun. The final monster he punched fell to the ground, joining the other lifeless monster bodies. He extended his hand and a red sinister aura started glowing. In just one swift move, as he unleashed a red tornado-like attack, several monsters were ripped to shreds. He had a smug look on his face as he continued using his powers. He also seemed pleased to have confirmed his theory that the cause of predation failure is based on fatigue. His current fatigue is at 52%, and if fatigue passes 70%, his skills won't activate. Most skills are activated based on the usage of mana, but that doesn't mean it's the only thing to think about. That's because fatigue also plays a major factor. Fatigue increases if skills are used or there's physical activity. The higher it gets, the more power of the skill decreases, and the heavier the physical body gets. He finds it unfortunate that there are several factors to consider. However, Kim Taehyun discovered that if he absorbs dead monsters, he can recover his mana without having to spend any. This is because the target's life activity has stopped, so mana will no longer be consumed. With that, he successfully completes Predation and recovers his mana. He smiled at the thought that there's even more good news. His rank has changed to D. His Predation and Stone Skin both went up to D. For him, with this, he concluded that the more he uses Predation, the more that he can grow. He can already imagine that if it continues at that rate, he can become S rank or even SS rank. Aside from that, he entertained the possibility that he'll be the first SSS rank. After clearing the area with monsters, he declared that he's done and will head back to where Wang Ying is. He wasn't able to finish his sentence because of what he sensed from behind him. In an instant, there was a huge monster falling down where he was standing. This monster was being defeated by a man with a golden sword. This wasn't just any monster, it was the A-rank ogre. The man with the sword called the dirty monster and vowed to make it pay for all the people that it had killed. This man declared himself as An Hyun-soo, the water of justice, who will be the judge of its end. He declared this with all enthusiasm while tears were falling down from his eyes. Kim Taehyun seemed to be amused by the childish declaration. The ogre roared as it lifted its fist in the air while An Hyun-soo anticipated the attack. An Hyun-soo. With his eyes filled with determination, he lifted his sword and showered the ogre with several diamond-like blades of light. The attack was so powerful that it formed an explosion in the middle of the city. Kim Taehyun was astonished by what he just witnessed. He couldn't believe that the man easily defeated an A-rank monster. He assumed that the man is the A-ranked awaken who single-handedly solved the break before he regressed. He knew the man was the Blade of Lunacy, An Hyun-soo, and he just confirmed that the man is as strong as what the rumors say. An Hyun-soo grinned and made a silly face, saying that the foolish monster is at its end just by a sword. Watching this, Kim Taehyun couldn't help but agree with the rumors that An Hyun-soo was a bit silly. As he continued to gaze at An Hyun-soo, he wondered why he suddenly appeared in the area. Since before he regressed, An Hyun-soo is engaged in a bloody battle with a giant ogre on the other side of the city. An Hyun-soo is focused on praying for the citizens who passed away to find peace. Kim Taehyun continued to have several thoughts in his mind as he watched on An Hyun-soo, but instantly, as the notification window appeared indicating a skill was sensed, he felt a horrifying presence. An Hyun-soo was pierced in the middle of the chest by a bald man. He coughed up blood as he uttered, "Water," with a sinister grin. The man exclaimed as he had finally caught An Hyun-soo. A vast area of the city has been damaged. Meanwhile, a marketplace of clothing seemed to be unaffected. Wang Ying observed the nurse who was sleeping on the couch. The nurse seemed to be oblivious to the chaos outside or to the presence of another person. Wang Ying perspired as he asked himself if what he's going to do is okay. He recalled his conversation with Kim Taehyun. He was informed that a lot of people would die, and one of those people is their school nurse, Choi Na-young. Kim Taehyun informed him that the nurse would die because she focused on relief activities rather than evacuating. Kim Taehyun asked Wang Ying if he could put people to sleep with his sleep skill, and Wang Ying confirmed this. He was then given an instruction to put the nurse to sleep and evacuate her to a safe place, and Kim Taehyun declared that he would handle the rest. As he continued to watch Choi Na-young, Wang Ying wondered how his cousin knew all about those things. All of a sudden, a thought crossed his mind. He judged this thought as nonsense, but he couldn't fully shake it off since it's the only possible explanation. His blood rushed with the idea that his cousin awakened to a skill to see the future. He explained how seeing the future is so cool. An imaginary Kim Taehyun with a crystal ball and cloak tries to say no. Wang Ying chose to think that nothing would go wrong. Meanwhile, Kim Taehyun could only curse upon seeing the scene before him. An Hyun-soo is clutching his chest as he comes face to face with the man who stabbed him. Kim Taehyun couldn't help but think how it all went wrong. An Hyun-soo demanded for the man to declare his identity. The man had a creepy expression as he commented how An Hyun-soo is still alive after being pierced in a vital point. He remarked how A ranks are in a different league. The man told An Hyun-soo that it makes the hunting fun. This man is called Han Sang-do, a B-rank villain with a stealth skill. Those awakened who commit crimes are called villains, and B-ranked Han Sang-do is one of those. He's a really dangerous person who, during the gate break, went around killing just for his own enjoyment. Kim Taehyun couldn't understand the situation since before he regressed, An Hyun-soo and Han Sang-do never met. He started to wonder if the future has changed because of him. An Hyun-soo got enraged after knowing that he is a villain. He drew out his sword and vowed to punish the villain with his own hands. An Hyun-soo stopped in the middle of it when he heard the ogre groaning. His and Han Sang-do's attention were drawn to where the ogre was. The ogre growled loudly as it launched a powerful attack towards them. It made a louder noise to express its anger. An Hyun-soo was caught off guard at the sight of the giant ogre. Han Sang-do laughed. He seemed to be amused with the regeneration ability of the A-rank monster. The ogre raised its fist again in preparation for another attack. His fist came in contact with the ground, causing a massive explosion. Fortunately, An Hyun-soo and Han Sang-do were able to evade this. Since the ogre is wreaking havoc, Han Sang-do had decided to leave An Hyun-soo's defeat in the hands of the ogre. Han Sang-do's attention is diverted to another person. He came face to face with Kim Taehyun and commented on how they had a spectator earlier. He seemed thrilled with the idea of having another prey. Then he decided to launch an attack on Kim Taehyun, who seemed to be caught off guard. His sword came to Kim Taehyun and screamed for him to die, and Han Sang-do thinking his blade would slice through, but he is shocked to find Kim Taehyun turned to stone. Kim Taehyun grins and calls him a silly person, then launches a powerful kick towards Han Sang-do. Han Sang-do seems annoyed to realize that the person in front of him has awakened. Kim Taehyun addressed him as B-ranked villain Han Sang-do, which made him pay close attention. Kim Taehyun inquired if he was a person who was secretly committing killings with stealth skills. He smiled at him and expressed that he feels great for running into him. His stone-covered arm clashed with Han Sang-do's blade. Han Sang-do seemed to enjoy attacking consecutively. On the other hand, Kim Taehyun looked serious while he countered Han Sang-do's blade with his arm. This pattern of fighting continued. Han Sang-do used his blades to attack, while Kim Taehyun protected himself using his stone-covered arms and then launched a counterattack. They both took a step back. Han Sang-do commented that Kim Taehyun is skilled enough to be confident. He looked at him while making a remark that it's unexpected how blades would be useless against him. He went on to tell him that he doesn't know how Kim Taehyun knew about him, but he shouldn't conclude that he has a chance of winning just because his blades are not working against him. Kim Taehyun was shocked to hear that it's as if Han Sang-do knew his thoughts. Han Sang-do gave him advice that he should know that the world doesn't go according to his plans. Han Sang-do disappeared from his sight. Kim Taehyun instantly knew that he used the stealth skill. He assumed a combat stance in preparation for the hidden enemy. He instantly turned to look at his back. He punched the air and declared that Han Sang-do's attacks are useless against him. Unbeknownst to him, Han Sang-do was actually behind him. He was caught off guard when he revealed himself and asked him if he's sure about what he just said. He instantly turned to block the blade. Unexpectedly, his hand bled. He was surprised to see that his stone-covered hand was bleeding. Han Sang-do laughed at him. Han Sang-do is preparing for another attack, while he asks Kim Taehyun if he knew about the number of guys that he hunted that were just like him. He's pertaining to guys that made a mistake by thinking that their skill is invincible. He asked him if he's flustered to run away now that his weakness has been exposed. He cut Kim Taehyun from all sides. Kim Taehyun clenched his teeth as he endured the consecutive attacks raining down on him. Han Sang-do told him that he should understand that all skills have weaknesses. In his final attack, Han Sang-do left him wounded from various parts of his body. The blood was scattered on the floor. Kim Taehyun caught his breath. Deep inside, he started to realize the flaw of the stone skin skill. He now understood that the stone skins are not ideal to totally block the attacks, since unbearable shock would crush the stone, and the cursed part would be replaced with the formation of a stone of remarkably lower durability. It dawned on him that Han Sang-do was actually aiming for that since the start. Upon gazing at Han Sang-do, he felt a menacing horror, and his eyes appeared to be truly intimidating, but Kim Taehyun was still able to smile because of what he had earned. That hand-to-hand fight is still doable even against a B-ranked opponent. With that, he could say that his physical abilities aren't those of an average D-rank level. He asked Han Sang-do if they should end the fight now. Confusion washed over Han Sang-do's face. He started laughing and mockingly asked Kim Taehyun if he had gone mad after being driven to a corner. He advanced towards Kim Taehyun at full speed. Kim Taehyun asked him if he knew why he wanted to meet him, but Han Sang-do chose to dismiss him instantly. A red hue was reflected in Han Sang-do's wide eyes. He witnessed Kim Taehyun using his power as Kim Taehyun revealed that his intention was to take his stealth skill. Han Sang-do wondered about the wicked mana that he felt. He got annoyed to know that Kim Taehyun was hiding that, but it appeared that he wasn't scared at all. He laughed and even referred to him as a fool. He activated his stealth skills as he felt confident that he couldn't hit him when he couldn't even see him. But Kim Taehyun seemed to be unfazed. Instead, he reminded him of what he said earlier, that all skills have weaknesses. Kim Taehyun seemed to realize something after he had devoured monsters several times. There were monsters that seemed to escape his sight, but in the end, nothing escaped his predation. He told Han Sang-do that wherever he hid or wherever he ran away to, he informed him that predation would gobble him up no matter what. All of a sudden, Han Sang-do let out a scream. Kim Taehyun's red blades ripped him into pieces. The sun had started rising, illuminating the whole city with its warm light. An Hyun-soo could be seen lying face down on the ground. He cursed and regretted that he was stabbed by the villain, even if he's called with many titles such as the Hero of Justice or the Invincible War. He still can't defy death. The giant ogre appeared before him and roared loudly. It made a loud noise as it lifted its clenched fist, and it roared again as it punched An Hyun-soo. The attack caused so much smoke and debris in the area. It made loud noises as it waited for the smoke and dust to clear out, but to its surprise, An Hyun-soo's body was not in the area, and a voice spoke, commenting on how An Hyun-soo is totally flat on the ground. It was Kim Taehyun, and he used his stealth skill to save An Hyun-soo. The giant overheard him and turned towards his direction. Kim Taehyun smiled while his aura covered his body, and he uttered that it's no wonder that An Hyun-soo is on the ground since it was comfortable. We see a man and a woman were surprised as they opened the door. Wang Ying called out his mom and dad and announced that he's back home. Kim Taehyun asked his uncle if everything's all right. Tears fell from the eyes of the old couple. They were so relieved that the monsters didn't harm the children. Wang Ying laughed and told them that nothing happened. The old couple told them that the house was a mess, as if someone ravaged the place. Wang Ying insisted that nothing happened and even asked Kim Taehyun to agree with him. Kim Taehyun decided to not say any comments. From a bird's eye view, the rooftop of different buildings can be seen. A person watched the news on his mobile phone. The news announced that as per the guidelines of the government, the gate break warning has been completely lifted. In addition to that, the news also stated that the government considered the possibility of a subsequent outbreak, and with that they ordered nearby schools to be closed for a week. As news of survivors is gradually coming in, the public is breathing a sigh of relief. The man ensued earlier, and the two women who were with him can be seen wearing hospital gowns as they pass through the hospital's corridor. The nurse Choi Na-young is explaining to the police how she woke up in a department store without any recollection of going there. Meanwhile, An Hyun-soo is on a live broadcast to announce that he is not the one who took down the giant ogre. He revealed that the true hero is someone else. The news continued to announce that the giant ogre's corpse wasn't discovered. The whereabouts of the villain who attacked the public are unknown. The people are concerned that the preventive measure for safety purposes may be insufficient. The person who's watching the news decided to turn off his mobile phone. That person was actually Kim Taehyun. He's happy to know that he has not been mentioned in any of the reports. With a confident and excited expression, he looked at what's ahead of him. He is standing on the rails while looking at the dark tunnel as he declares that he's ready to advance to the next stage. His status window had been updated with his newly acquired skill. Now he has 3 skills, including the D rank stealth that requires 5 mana. For him, acquiring stealth was an especially great outcome, but due to his current level, he finds it difficult to use all 3 skills. Since recklessly wielding the skills could deplete his mana in no time and thereby raise his fatigue level, it could end up a devastating move, so he thought of preventive measures, and the best one is to have potions. Potions are elixir created for various purposes such as mana or fatigue recovery, but he had an issue to deal with. Potions are expensive, thus he decided to hunt to earn money. He went inside the tunnel and his path was blocked by debris. He went through a small crease to proceed. For him to hunt, he needs legal permission. Actually, the law states that using skills without legal permission is considered illegal, so it left him with a single option. After going through the narrow passage between the wall, he was able to arrive at his destination where multiple gigantic monsters gazed at him. The only solution that he had is to explore and discover dungeons. The monsters spoke and asked how a mere mortal could come in their place. Another monster wondered how the mortal found them. One monster suggested that they should paralyze the mortal so they could have a feast. Kim Taehyun heard all their statements. He commented on how they are such great talkers. He wondered if those monsters are of high intelligence. The notification window showed that the monsters are called the Spider Sisters, and they are of B rank. He expressed how B ranks are not enough to increase his ranks. He wondered if he needed to eat hundreds of them to reach his goal. The Spider Sisters got really upset with this and decided to go after the overconfident human and attack him. One of the Spider Sisters had puffy cheeks, and in unison they told him that they are going to eat him alive, and simultaneously they spit out a purple substance on him. The Spider Sisters laughed as if to mock him and asked how he felt. They asked if he felt himself becoming paralyzed. To their surprise, their victim is unaffected. Kim Taehyun's skill called Resistance has been activated. Kim Taehyun seemed to be pleased with the Spider Sisters' useful skill. The Spider Sisters screamed for him to wait, but it was followed by them growing in agony. A notification appears stating that he has succeeded in a complete predation. He had obtained a new skill called paralysis. One of the tall buildings in the area is the headquarters for the New South Korea Player Association. Two men guard a wooden gigantic door. Inside the building is a woman who is holding a coffee and two men. One man seemed to be nervous. He is the deputy manager of the New South Korea Player Association. A player is defined when an awakened player is legally permitted to use their skills for various objectives, such as abyss exploration, dungeon clearing, and so on. Currently, there are 5 player centers of the New South Korea Player Association. New South Korea's largest guilds, also known as the 4 Great Guilds, are the Fighters, also known as Undivided, the Crafters called Alchemists, the Maze called the Magicians, and there's the Informants called Nightwalkers. The authorized agency that manages the players, including the 4 Great Guilds, is known as the New South Korea Player Association. In front of the deputy manager is the guild master of the Nightwalker, and also an S-rank player called Yu Young, and a man who thanked Yu Young for coming, whose name is Ji Jinwi. He is the chairman of the New South Korea Player Association and an S-rank player. He asked Yu Young if she discovered something. Yu Young confirmed if he was pertaining to a malignant guild. A malignant guild is a criminal organization formed by the most brutal fellows even among villains. The guild members wear gold rings with 3 skulls carved on them. He handed her a report about the recent movements of a malignant guild and a list of players that they were targeting. Yu Young told him that she's definite that he didn't seek her just to receive an augment, so she straightforwardly asked what he needs from her. He laughed and asked her if she had any ideas. He admitted that he wanted her opinion on something. He proceeded to ask her when she finished the player test. She's confused by his question, but opted to answer truthfully that it was when she reached the qualifying age at 19 years old. Then she realized something, and the chairman asked her if she thinks a high school student could rival a monster in a fight. The high school student that might be the main topic of their conversation was busy sitting on top of the pile of the bodies of the monsters. His backpack is full of crystals from the monster he's talking to someone on the phone, asking them if they are the alchemists, with a bored expression on his face. After defeating a whole bunch of monsters, he revealed his agenda to them. He wanted to buy potions. The 7-day school closure order due to a gate break has ended, and the school has reopened. Students are seen heading back to school. During these 7 days, Kim Taehyun underwent physical training with his brother and ventured into dungeons to fight monsters, successfully clearing some dungeons. In the next scene, we see a building belonging to one of the 4 great guilds, the Alchemists. Here, Kim Taehyun presents all the monster cores he collected from his battles. The guild administrators are shocked to see so many cores. They even offer Kim Taehyun the status of a VVIP customer and propose that he trade with their guild. Kim Taehyun has also gained new skills and increased his strength, advancing to C rank. However, he realizes that he still has a long way to go to become the strongest. Despite his achievements, he still has to attend school, which he dislikes. He is seen sitting in a corner near a window, with a few of his classmates staring at him from afar. They discuss a rumor about Kim Taehyun beating Bae Hyuksu's lackeys. One girl in the group wonders if this means Kim Taehyun is awakened, but a boy dismisses it, saying it doesn't matter anymore. When asked why, he cryptically replies, "Don't you know? Now that things have escalated to this." Suddenly, Kim Taehyun notices something, and someone starts smashing benches on the ground. 2 of Bae Hyuksu's lackeys appear. The real boss, Lee Jung-jae, sits down in front of Kim Taehyun, placing his leg on Kim's desk, with 2 men standing behind him. Lee Jung-jae greets Kim Taehyun, calling him an old friend. Lee Jung-jae is an S-ranked awakened and the 3rd-generation Chibol of the Taesin Group, the conglomerate that sponsors Taesin High School. He is also the boss of all the bullies at Taesin High and the main culprit who ordered Bae Hyuksu to harass Kim Taehyun for being unawakened. Kim Taehyun scoffs at the idea of being friends with someone like Lee Jung-jae. He angrily tells Lee Jung-jae and his lackeys to leave. One of Lee Jung-jae's men shouts at Kim Taehyun, but is immediately silenced by Lee Jung-jae, who smashes his face for interrupting his conversation with Kim Taehyun. Lee Jung-jae then addresses Kim Taehyun, acknowledging that Kim must be feeling confident after defeating Bae Hyuksu. However, he warns Kim to be careful about who he stands up to. As he says this, he releases his power as an S-rank awakened, leaving Kim Taehyun surprised. Kim Taehyun marvels at the magic of an S rank awakened, acknowledging its amazing power. Lee Jung-jae confronts Kim Taehyun, his voice laced with a deceptive calm. "You better listen while I'm being nice." Kim Taehyun, his hand slowly emerging from his pocket, contemplates using his predation skill on Lee Jung-jae. He wonders about the expression that will cross Lee Jung-jae's face when he does. But just as he's about to act, a girl interrupts the scene. The girl, her voice firm and commanding, addresses Lee Jung-jae. "That's enough, stop." She uses her skill to freeze Lee Jung-jae's lackeys who try to intervene, their shouts of pain filling the air. Both Lee Jung-jae and Kim Taehyun are taken aback by her interruption. The girl is Lim An-young. She turns to Kim Taehyun. "You as well, enough of this." Kim Taehyun falls silent, a smile playing on his lips. Lim An-young is known by many nicknames: class president, rich family's young lady, Yoo Ah-young's half-sister, S-rank awakened, the model student, the prospective first ranker next term, noblesse oblige, and future SS rank player. She's expected to earn even more nicknames, but she's uncompromising and simply won't back down. Lee Jung-jae, irritated by her interruption, retorts, "What do you mean stop? Someone might think I'm doing something. Ha ha ha. We're just friends having a chat." Lim An-young, her demeanor confident, counters, "Friends? What about how you just punched him in the face?" Lee Jung-jae warns her, "Lim An-young, watch yourself, got it?" To which Lim An-young replies, "I'm going to use force if you don't leave on your own. Quit it and get lost." They both square off, ready to fight. Kim Taehyun watches them, thinking, "You both need to stop. At this rate, the whole classroom will be a total mess." Both of them were not budging, and after some time, Lee Jung-jae pretends to leave, but in the next moment, he forms a fireball in his hand, preparing to strike Lim An-young. But just as he's about to strike, a bell rings throughout the school. The bell is an announcement from the broadcasting club. The announcement states that a special lecture will be organized by the Players Association in the main hall, and all students are expected to assemble there immediately. Lee Jung-jae retracts his fireball, muttering, "Player Association?" He leaves, saying, "Just you know that you're lucky." After he leaves, Lim An-young turns to Kim Taehyun. "Are you okay?" But Kim Taehyun is already at the gate. He tells Lim An-young, "What are you standing there for? Didn't you hear the announcement to assemble in the main hall?" He leaves, saying, "I'm going first." Lim An-young is left confused. Instead of thanking her, Kim Taehyun had ignored her and left. She starts to wonder if Kim Taehyun was always like this. Meanwhile, in the school's main hall, all the students gather, wondering about the special lecture by the Player Association. Their attention shifts as someone greets them. He introduces himself as Go Tae-wook, HR Deputy Manager of the Player Association. He's there to apologize for the Player Association's lack of response to the gate break, provide safety training, and inform them about changes to the player tryouts. The future of the new South Korea Player Association lies in their hands. Meanwhile, Lee Jung-jae remains irritated by the recent events. Lim An-young reflects on Kim Taehyun's behavior, and Kim Taehyun, seemingly uninterested, yawns during the lecture. In the school's main hall, the president of the Player Association announced the upcoming player tryouts. This news left the students puzzled, with murmurs of player tryouts? What does that have to do with us? And doesn't that start at the age of 19? We can't participate this year anyway. The president of the Player Association responded, "You may have thought that, but of course, we're here to inform you because it is related to you now. Due to the recent gate break outbreak and the steep rise in the number of monsters and dungeons, the Players Association has recognized that we are understaffed. Therefore, starting from these tryouts, we will be allowing nominations even for high school students." This revelation that high school students could also become players was met with surprise. The president continued, "Nominees from each high school will be selected based on a combination of factors such as ability, assessment scores, academic records, and behavior." Kim Taehyun, upon hearing this, smiled and thought to himself, "Lies. These tryouts will indeed be open to high school students, but the selection process is already underway. That is through Go Tae-wook's skill. the observer's eye. The observer's eye is a skill that quantifies the sum total of a subject's abilities. Upon focusing, it even allows the user to view the stat window's information of the target. As Go Tae-wook surveyed the students with his observer's eye skill, he smiled, satisfied. He thought to himself, "Here, the numbers are far better than the other locations. They'll make great players, but the most shocking, even among all of them, are those two." Go Tae-wook was surprised after seeing Lee Jung-jae's score, which was 1924, and Lim An-young's score, which was 2335. He thought to himself, "Nightwalkers did send me a list of recommended candidates, but I can't believe there are so many untrained awakened. I'll have to write up recommendations as soon as I get back." Suddenly, Lee Jung-jae interrupted by raising his hand and saying, "Mr. Player, you said you'd inform us about the player tryouts, but aren't some candidates here unfit for you to do that?" Go Tae-wook, taken aback, asked, "Unfit candidates?" Lee Jung-jae responded, "I mean, player tryouts are meant to assess people suitable to be players among the awakened. In other words," he then pointed towards Kim Taehyun with his gaze and said, "I don't believe a mere unawakened person needs to hear this lecture." Lee Jung-jae continued his pointed remarks, "Strength is not all that makes a player. Whether it's the rank of awakening, the ability to handle different situations, or vast knowledge about the abyss. To become a player, a number of complex skills must be assessed. But in the end, all those complexities originate from the awakened." His words caused a quiet ripple among the crowd, with some students smiling and subtly laughing at Kim Taehyun, who stood there absorbing the comments. Kim Taehyun, however, remained composed, thinking to himself, "Lee Jung-jae, so you're willing to go this far to confirm whether I've awakened, huh?" Lee Jung-jae, challenging Kim Taehyun further, thought, "Go on, if you've awakened, prove it." But amidst this tense exchange, Lim An-young suddenly shouted, "Lee Jung-jae," intending to insult Kim Taehyun. However, she abruptly stopped, remembering Kim Taehyun's earlier rude behavior. She thought, "Whatever, I don't care either." Lee Jung-jae, persisting in his taunting, remarked, "So, I wish you'd send them out of here as soon as possible," prompting Go Tae-wook to reply, "I understand what you're saying. It's up to the students to decide whether or not they want to attend the lecture." Lee Jung-jae, targeting Kim Taehyun directly, provoked him further. "Kim Taehyun, how are you not humiliated? Not like you can get nominated as an unawakened, huh? Or do you not give a damn about player tryouts?" Internally, Kim Taehyun pondered. "You think that's possible? Certainly. Without proving myself as an awakened, I can't even get a peek at the player tryouts. But to get recommended, I don't necessarily have to show that myself." Amidst this verbal altercation, Go Tae-wook observed silently, feeling a mix of pity and disdain. He thought to himself, "Lee Jung-jae, an S-rank player, yet he's bullying others. How pathetic." And Kim Taehyun, an unawakened with an unknown latent rank as per the student department, a pitiful existence in the midst of awakened individuals. While Go Tae-wook attempted to use his observer's eye skill on Kim Taehyun, he was met with an unexpected error. Information could not be verified. This surprise further puzzled Go Tae-wook as he couldn't assess Kim Taehyun's score. Just as Kim Taehyun decided to leave, he broke the silence, surprising everyone by saying, "You're right, I was too thoughtless." This unexpected statement caught everyone off guard, as they hadn't anticipated this response from him. Kim Taehyun continued, "What use would it be for a lowly unawakened to attend such a lecture? It'd only hurt their pride." Lee Jung-jae, taken aback by Kim Taehyun's unexpected reaction, thought that Kim might reveal his awakened powers. Kim Taehyun, ignoring the tension, showed his disdain by gesturing a middle finger to everyone and declared, "I'll get the hell out of here myself. So you guys, stay locked up here and attend your oh-so-great lecture." Lee Jung-jae, angered by Kim Taehyun's response, muttered, "Ha, till the end, this fellow." Meanwhile, Go Tae-wook remained in shock. His observer's eye skill had failed twice on Kim Taehyun, unable to verify any information. Yet, as Kim Taehyun turned to leave, Go Tae-wook was astonished at what he saw with his skill, a godly white figure within Kim Taehyun, and a terrifying score of 5096. After a few moments, in the school library, Kim Taehyun was engrossed in reading books. He muttered to himself, "I figured I'd spend the rest of the day looking for clues about the king." As Kim Taehyun was engrossed in his reading, Lee Jung-jae's lackeys approached him. "Jung-jae is looking for you. Come with us," they demanded. Kim Taehyun, however, refused. "And if I say no?" he retorted. The bullies responded with a smirk. "Your aunt runs a restaurant, doesn't she?" Shocked, Kim Taehyun stammered, "What?" The lackeys continued. Jungjae wanted to tell you this. You're a pathetic orphan. You want to give your aunt a hard time when she's already struggling? As the bully continued his tirade, Kim Taehyun's patience snapped. He punched the bully, causing a mess in the library. The door was destroyed, and Kim Taehyun had one of Lee Jungjae's lackeys by the neck, who was struggling for breath. The other two were already defeated, lying on the ground. In a fit of anger, Kim Taehyun demanded, "Don't make me ask you twice. Where's that bastard Lee Jungjae?" After that, in the assembly hall, where Lee Jungjae stands with his bodyguard, Kim Taehyun enters the scene, anger evident on his face due to a threat Lee Jungjae made against his aunt. Lee Jungjae's bodyguard, an A rank, is surprised. Lee Jungjae asks him, "What do you think it is?" The bodyguard replies, "After that young one came here, I've been casting a couple of status effect skills, but they're not working at all. With such a great resistance, he's probably an A rank awakened." Lee Jungjae chuckles. "As expected, so you had awakened." In an arrogant manner, Lee Jungjae addresses Kim Taehyun. "In that case, shall we have a chat with our friend here?" Kim Taehyun remains silent, not uttering a single word. Lee Jungjae walks towards Kim Taehyun and says, "My words may have been crude, but I have no intention of hurting you. In fact, I want to scout you. Actually, I'm going to form a guild after I graduate as the heir to the Taesan group, but even a genius like me can't do everything on his own. You get what I meant?" Kim Taehyun remains silent, his thoughts unknown. Lee Jungjae continues his speech, emphasizing the importance of real talent, not just any ordinary person like Bae Hyuk-soo. He points at Kim Taehyun, shouting, "Just like the current you, Kim Taehyun!" Laughing maniacally, Lee Jungjae proposes an offer to Kim Taehyun. "So, Kim Taehyun, forget your old grudges and come work for me. Then not just wealth and honor, I'll even get your family out of that shitty life." Kim Taehyun interrupts him, saying, "What a load of shit." This response leaves Lee Jungjae surprised and silent. Kim Taehyun then speaks up. "Scout? Wealth and honor? Lee Jungjae, you crossed the line." He activates his stone skill, ready to fight. Seeing this, Lee Jungjae is stunned for a few seconds. He then nods his head and says, "That's right as I thought, dogs have to be trained," while activating his fire skill, creating a fireball in his hand. Meanwhile, Lee Jungjae's bodyguard uses his room skill to create an array on the ground. This binding skill envelops the space in magic, making it undetectable to outsiders. After completely isolating the hall with his skill, the bodyguard says, "With this, no one outside will find out about the young master's fight. Now let's enjoy the scene, shall we?" The stage is set for an intense showdown. Kim Taehyun and Lee Jungjae leap towards each other, their fists colliding with full force. Kim Taehyun's stone skill begins to crumble under Lee Jungjae's strength. As Kim Taehyun tries to stabilize himself mid-air, Lee Jungjae lands a kick that sends him flying, causing him to spit blood from the impact. Lee Jungjae, full of arrogance, laughs and taunts. "Ha ha ha! Did you finally see where you stand now?" His bodyguard watches the scene unfold from the sidelines. The bodyguard thinks to himself, "That young one, Kim Taehyun, I feel sorry for him. He's probably a high-grade body-strengthening skill user, and an A-rank awakened with combat skills and mental power you wouldn't expect from a student. It's probably hard for him to find a reasonable opponent, but today his opponent is Lee Jungjae." The fight between Lee Jungjae and Kim Taehyun continues. Lee Jungjae attacks Kim Taehyun with his epitome of intelligence, an S-rank skill. Seeing this, the bodyguard thinks, "Kim Taehyun, you have no chance at winning. You better learn your place and give up." The tension escalates as the battle rages on. The bodyguard suddenly notices a shift in the fight. Kim Taehyun, who was initially on the defensive, starts to dodge Lee Jungjae's attacks with ease and begins to counterattack as he gets used to Lee Jungjae's fighting style. In a swift move, Kim Taehyun lands a powerful punch on Lee Jungjae's face, sending him crashing to the ground. The bodyguard panics, shouting in disbelief, "What? Impossible! The young master was overpowered in a close combat fight?" Lee Jungjae lies on the ground, unable to move an inch. He shouts at Kim Taehyun, "Damn it! Kim Taehyun, you bastard! What the hell did you do? My body, I can't move!" The bodyguard is stunned. He thinks to himself, he can't move? Body strengthening wasn't his only skill then? What the hell did he do? Kim Taehyun, his face covered in blood, finally speaks. Finally, it's working. The tide of the battle seems to have turned. Kim Taehyun has acquired a total of 3 skills through predation. The first is the stone skin skill from Bae Hyuk-soo, his bully. The second is the stealth skill from an assassin, and the third is the paralysis skill from monsters in a dungeon. Kim Taehyun didn't utilize all of his skills from the start. Although a C-rank paralysis can't easily pierce through S-rank resistance, and stealth immediately disarms far-reaching fire attacks, predation is a last resort and shouldn't be used lightly. Taehyun's objective was the accumulation of paralysis in close combat. Status effect skills have a greater effect when dealt in direct blows rather than from a distance. So, with damage dealt by continuous blows of paralysis, even with high S-rank resistance, Kim Taehyun walks towards Lee Jingjae, who is lying on the floor. Seeing this, the bodyguard is afraid and thinks, he is a genius. In a head-on battle, he surpassed the young master's level. Lee Jingjae admits, I guess I underestimated you too much, Kim Taehyun. He then takes out a small, shining purple crystal and continues, if not for this, there's no way I'd lose to a piece of shit like you. So from here now... Lee Jingjae breaks the crystal and absorbs its power, leaving Kim Taehyun shocked. A huge, monstrous figure forms above Lee Jingjae as he stands up and says, shall we fight seriously as well? Kim Taehyun is currently facing a large skeleton monster made of fire. We see that Lee Jingjae, whose power has increased significantly, is insulting Kim Taehyun and says, fool, I will now show you my real power. We see that Lee Jingjae is attacking Kim Taehyun, but Kim Taehyun is dodging his attacks while running. At this moment, we see that Kim Taehyun takes a very high jump and hits Lee Jingjae with a very powerful punch, but at the same time, Lee Jingjae also makes a fireball and attacks Kim Taehyun. We see that when Kim Taehyun's punch collides with that ball, Kim Taehyun's punch breaks, and Kim Taehyun falls far away. After this, we see that Lee Jingjae is walking towards Kim Taehyun, and we also see his bodyguard who is thinking. The master has used a mana amplifying stone on himself, which has greatly increased his mana for a while and his power has increased a lot. But because of this stone, there can also be a side effect on his body and his life can also be in danger. But we see that Lee Jingjae is attacking Kim Taehyun very angrily, and seeing this, the bodyguard is thinking, if this continues, the young master will really kill that boy, and he screams at Lee Jingjae, young master, please stop here, otherwise you will take the boy's life. Your purpose was just to teach him a lesson. But we see that Lee Jingjae attacks the bodyguard at that moment and says, stop your nonsense. After all, who are you to advise me? This scoundrel has hurt me, and today he will have to die by my hands. And hearing this, Kim Taehyun was also quite surprised, and with this, we see that Lee Jingjae, who had gone completely mad, makes another very powerful attack on Kim Taehyun, and with this, he is laughing a lot and says, Kim Taehyun, today you will have to die by my hands. And we see that, because of the attack that Lee Jingjae had made, a very big pit had been made in that assembly hall, and at this time the bodyguard also comes there, and he gives his hand to Kim Taehyun and says, boy, hurry up. Hold my hand. You will have to run from here, otherwise the young master will kill you. But at this moment, Kim Taehyun punches him very hard on his face, due to which blood also comes out of his nose, and Kim Taehyun throws him away. And with this, we see that Kim Taehyun, coming out of the smoke, says, what did you say? Run away from here. How could you even think that? And we see that Kim Taehyun has drunk a lot of potion bottles, and with that, Kim Taehyun laughs and says, how can I run from here? I am also starting to enjoy this game, and we see that Kim Taehyun has activated his skill Predation. After this, we are shown the scene of the Hunter Association, where we see that the deputy manager has told the chairman about all the high school students, and the chairman is very happy, and he says, indeed, these children are very amazing. Have you seen it yourself? A boy has 1900 power, and a girl has 2300 power. This is really unbelievable. Hearing this, the manager says, sir, this is absolutely true. I have checked the power of both students myself, and they are indeed very powerful. We see that there are two ladies standing there who are saying, sir, if this is true, then those children are really very powerful, and you must know that the new saintess of Japan has a total power of 2500, and she is the first girl whose power is so much. And if we help these students grow even more, they will become as powerful as that saintess very soon. And we see that hearing this, the deputy manager is thinking, these people are so surprised just because of 2500. But the thing I have seen, if I tell them about it, they will probably go mad with shock. And he is thinking about Kim Taehyun here, whose total power is 5000. After this, we see that he has come out of the cabin, and he is walking with his bodyguards, and with this, he is thinking, I need to know more about that boy, and for this, I will have to meet that boy. And with this, we are shown the scene of the same assembly hall again, where we see that the bodyguard is very shocked at this time, and he says, how can a person be so powerful? With this, we are shown that Lee Jingjae is trying to attack Kim through his skeleton monster, but we see that the power of that skeleton monster is not working against Kim Taehyun's skill Predation. But with this, we see that Lee Jingjae is getting very angry. He screams and says, "No matter what trick you use, I will kill you." And we see that he is readying a very powerful attack to kill Kim Taehyun. But at this moment, we see that Kim Taehyun puts his hand forward, and with this he says, "Fool, this is not just my power, but at this time the power I am using is of a king himself." And we are shown a very powerful image of the king there, and at this moment, Kim Taehyun makes a very powerful attack on Lee Jingjae, after which we are shown the scene of the buildings outside the school, where we see that suddenly a very big explosion happens in that school, and the building of the assembly hall is completely destroyed due to this explosion, and we are shown the bodyguard who is very scared at this time, and he says, "Please don't kill the young master. Let him go from here." And we see that Lee Jingjae has become unconscious here, and seeing this, Kim Taehyun is thinking, "Well, this is indeed a big surprise. You saved him during my attack." And we find out that when Kim Taehyun had attacked Lee Jingjae, this bodyguard had saved Lee Jingjae from Kim Taehyun's skills, due to which Lee Jingjae survived. Otherwise, Lee Jingjae would have died there. After this, the bodyguard says, "Let the young master go because it is in your interest. If you kill our young master here, our guild members will not leave you and they will find you from anywhere and take your life." Hearing this, Kim Taehyun laughs and says, "Fool, do you think I am a coward who will be scared of your threats?" So hearing this, the bodyguard says, "You tell me, what do you want in exchange for letting the young master go?" So hearing this, Kim Taehyun says, "Yes, you have said a good thing. He is the son of the guild leader, right? So he must have a lot of money, so do this. Get $1 billion from his father for me. And if you do this, I will return this boy to you. Otherwise, you cannot take him from here." The school assembly hall was a scene of utter chaos. Kim Taehyun and Lee Jungjae's fight had left it in ruins, drawing the attention of students and teachers alike. Panic spread through the crowd as they feared an attack by a villain or a monster. In the midst of the crowd, Lim A-young stood, her surprise evident. She recognized the magic and the fierce flames. There was no doubt in her mind that this was Lee Jungjae's power, but who was he fighting against? In her mind, she pictured Lee Jungjae bullying Kim Taehyun, with Kim Taehyun crying out for help. This was the relationship she imagined the two shared. Despite the teacher's instructions for everyone to stay put, Lim A-young didn't listen. She ran towards the assembly hall, determined to save Kim Taehyun. The teacher's shouts fell on deaf ears as she ignored them, her mind set on her mission. As Lim A-young sprinted towards the assembly hall, she was filled with regret. "I thought wrong. I shouldn't have been a simple bystander in the gym now," she thought to herself. Upon entering the assembly hall, she ran through the fire, her mind filled with guilt and worry. "This is my fault, Kim Taehyun, please, I beg you. Make it out alive." To her utter shock, she found Kim Taehyun standing there, alive and well, while Lee Jungjae lay unconscious on the ground, looking half dead. She was stunned into silence. Kim Taehyun broke the silence. "Yeah, you came right on time. I just happened to need a witness. I mean, someone to help move him, take him to the nurse's office, or rather the hospital. Got it?" Lim A-young, still reeling from the shock, managed to ask, "Kim Taehyun, what's going on?" Kim Taehyun, trying to feign ignorance, replied, "What the hell did he do for him to be knocked out like this? He must have fell down the stairs." Listening to Kim Taehyun, Lim A-young couldn't help but wonder how someone could get so injured by merely falling down the stairs. Kim Taehyun continued, "Anyhow, this has nothing to do with me, so handle it yourself. So don't go around saying you saw me. Got it?" The air was thick with tension as the reality of the situation began to sink in. What would happen next was anyone's guess. After declaring his departure, Kim Taehyun left Lim A-young with a plea for an explanation hanging in the air. But when she turned around, he had vanished, leaving her alone in the chaos. She was left to grapple with the aftermath, unable to fully comprehend the events that had just unfolded. In the next scene, Kim Taehyun found himself far from the school, watching the sunset. He mused to himself, "Great. Lim A-young will handle Lee Jungjae somehow. The Taesun group took action on their part too. I guess it's settled now." He then checked his status window to see how much he had improved after applying Predation on Lee Jungjae. To his surprise, he had gained a charm stat and a C-rank skill called Monarch's Heart, which boosts party members' stats and requires 10 mana. Looking at his status window, Kim Taehyun exclaimed, "Charm? Isn't that an appearance stat for celebrities? How come I got this after preying on Lee Jungjae?" He then pondered the new skill he had acquired. Also, the skill I got isn't Flame Heart, it's Monarch's Heart, which can boost party members' stats. Lee Jung-jae had a skill like this? This is great! Skills that affect the entire party are rare, regardless of rank. As someone like me who'll be using multiple skills, the Monarch's Heart, which allows any skill whatsoever to be combined, is way better. His surprise was evident, but so was his satisfaction. The day had brought unexpected developments, but it seemed Kim Taehyun was ready to face whatever came next. As Kim Taehyun began to leave, a sudden burst of light from behind caused him to turn around. A fleet of cars had pulled up, and a man emerged from one of them. "Finally found you, Kim Taehyun," the man said. It was none other than Go Tae-wook, the player association manager. Kim Taehyun was taken aback. "How is this guy here right now?" he wondered. Go Tae-wook continued. "I'll start with this one. What did you do in the gym earlier today?" The scene then shifted to a grand mansion. Lee Jung-jae's house. A man sat on a large chair, speaking to Lee Jung-jae's kneeling bodyguard. "So my one and only son is in the hospital, and as if that wasn't enough, he's asking for 1,000,000,000 for his life, and he wants the whole matter dealt with quietly." The man instructed the bodyguard, "Do as he wants, he's quite the gutsy guy. Interesting. However, there must be a worthy reward for the price we pay." The bodyguard, noticing something, exclaimed, "Mr. President, these people, the opponent is still a young kid. That's far too cruel." But the man, revealed to be Lee Jung-jae's father, Lee Jung-soo, an S-rank player and president of the Taehyun group, dismissed him. "Enough. I will not tolerate a barking dog," and with that, the chapter ends. As the episode unfolds, we find ourselves in the midst of a tense confrontation between Association President Go Tae-wook and Kim Taehyun. Tae-wook, with a stern expression, asks Taehyun, "What did you do at the gym?" This question leaves Taehyun shocked and bewildered, his mind racing with thoughts. How come Go Tae-wook is here, the gym? Is he talking about the explosion? Or about the incident in the lecture hall? Which of these two is it? Taehyun doubts that Tae-wook would involve himself in a minor fire incident, but the possibility that Tae-wook might know about his involvement leaves him anxious. Deciding to test Tae-wook's knowledge, Taehyun hesitantly asks, "By the gym? Do you mean the explosion?" Tae-wook, taken aback by the mention of an explosion, turns to see smoke billowing from the school. Dismissing the fire, he assures, "Ah, you mean that fire. That's fine. Other agencies will take care of it anyway." He then redirects the conversation back to Taehyun. "Rather than that, I haven't gotten an answer from you yet." This response confirms Taehyun's suspicion that Tae-wook is unaware of the explosion. Tae-wook continues his interrogation. "What exactly did you do at the gym?" To this, Taehyun responds with a confident smile. "Don't you know already?" This response leaves the crowd in surprise, and even Tae-wook is taken aback. "What?" Taehyun, with a hint of arrogance, retorts, "You must have come here to give me an invitation to the player tryouts." Tae-wook laughs off his claim. "Haha, the player tryouts? On what grounds would you say that?" It is at this moment that Taehyun releases his predation power. "Well, as for the grounds, isn't this already enough?" Tae-wook sees 214 points on Taehyun's head with his skill and is left in shock. It can't be. He's even stronger than before. So the number last time wasn't a coincidence or an error after all. Amazed by Taehyun's power, Tae-wook wonders, "Kim Taehyun, who are you?" However, Taehyun's worn and burnt clothes, a result of his recent fight with Lee Jung-jae, catch Tae-wook's attention. "By the way, what on earth happened to your clothes?" To this, Taehyun has no answer. The scene transitions to Kim Taehyun's home, where his brother is taken aback by the news of the player tryouts. "Are you serious? You're going to appear in the player tryouts, Hyungnim?" he exclaims. Taehyun confirms, "Yeah, in a month." His brother's mouth hangs open in surprise, and he showers Taehyun with praise. "As expected of the King God General Emperor Admiral Yi Sun-sin Majesty, the great Kim Taehyun Hyungnim." Taehyun, however, is not amused by this behavior and retorts, "Are you mocking me?" Taehyun then falls into deep thought. Taehyun Group will take good care of the gym matter, and that'll decrease Go Tae-wook's suspicions. Since the tryouts are a month later, I just have to focus solely on training. So, I guess there won't be any more trouble. As he contemplates, his phone begins to vibrate on the desk. He sees it's a call from someone. The question remains, who could it be? Outside Kim Taehyun's house, two men are keeping a close watch. One of them, holding a man by his throat, expresses his annoyance. How come a player from the association is guarding a high schooler's home? How annoying. The other man, keeping an eye on Taehyun's home, dismisses the concern. He's probably one of the participants of the player tryouts. After all, those guys are fiercely protective of their prospects. The man holding the other by his throat is an A-rank villain from the Black and White Assassin unit, while the other is a B-rank villain. The B-rank villain scoffs at the idea of Taehyun being a prospect. Prospects? However they call him, isn't he just a kid without any real battle experience? The A-rank villain chuckles in agreement. KK? True, they can call them prospects all they want. In the end, without experience, they are still useless. As the A-rank villain prepares to attack Taehyun's home, he shouts, "Let's show him what an awakened really is, my little brother." But his eyes widen in shock when he turns around to see his companion beaten like a punching bag. Enraged, he lunges at the attacker with his blade, shouting, "Who the fuck are you?" The man turns around, revealing himself to be none other than Kim Taehyun. Taehyun releases the man he was holding, then launches at the A-rank villain, smashing his face with his knee. He applies his stone skill to his knee, leaving the man's face a mess. With a smirk, Taehyun retorts, "The inexperienced kid." Rewinding a few hours earlier, we find ourselves in the school assembly hall, now in ruins due to the fierce battle between Kim Taehyun and Lee Jingjae. Amidst the chaos, a bodyguard is seen shouting in disbelief, "1 billion? Aside from keeping silent on this matter, I can't make this kind of decision on my own." Taehyun, unfazed by the bodyguard's protest, retorts, You think I don't know that? I'm not an asshole who'd hold minions responsible. I'm just asking you to do a good job at reaching an agreement. Just in case you betray me, how about we seal the deal?" He then takes out an Awaken's oath, a contract created by the Awaken using magic. Breaking this oath results in a random permanent penalty. Taehyun then lays out his terms. First, along with the 1 billion won compensation just mentioned, a full-scale effort to clean up the mess after the incident at the gym. And the second one, inform me in advance of any actions taken against me for revenge. Returning to the present, the A-rank villain lunges at Kim Taehyun with his dagger. Taehyun, however, skillfully dodges every attack. He then attempts to counterattack, but his strike misses the mark. The assassin, seizing the opportunity, tries to attack Taehyun from above, but he too misses his target. The assassin is taken aback when Taehyun taunts, "Black and White brothers, I heard you specialize in assassination attacks using stealth, so much that. That basically means you're shit at everything but that." The scene shifts to a car speeding down a highway. Inside, a woman is engaged in a conversation with a man, presumably the chairman. She asks, "I heard you've selected the participants for the player tryouts. That's going to be a gathering of prospects from all over the country. Who are you looking forward to seeing, Chairman? Is it Shin Yunbok from Busan, the S-Ranker?" The man chuckles. "Ha ha ha ha. No way. Sure, he's remarkable too. But the one I'm most excited about is your younger sister." The woman retorts, "Come on, you think that family tolerates anything worse than that?" The man laughs. "Ha ha ha ha, you're still harsh as ever. Who is Ah Young looking forward to then? Shin Yunbok?" The woman replies, "Yeah, until we heard something amusing." Putting the other S-Rankers aside, Deputy Manager Go Taewook personally got in contact with a student. The man is surprised. "Deputy Manager Go Taewook did that?" The woman continues, "Aren't you curious? How skilled and awakened would be for him to have personally stepped forward?" Meanwhile, Kim Taehyun is in a daze. His skill of copying skills is not working, and the system alerts him. Insufficient physical ability. It then warns him again, unable to use predation due to overload. In the alley near Kim Taehyun's house, the two assassins lie beaten and tied up, courtesy of Taehyun. Association officials have arrived on the scene. One of them remarks, "These black and white brothers bastards, not only did they dare mess with players from the association, now they even tried laying hands on a high school test taker." Another official chimes in, "Don't you think these villains are getting worse these days?" Deputy Manager Go Tae-wook turns to Taehyun. "Kim Taehyun, thanks for telling us. Do you have any idea who might be behind this attack?" Taehyun hesitates before responding. "Not really." Tae-wook ponders. "Could it be that the list of participants has been leaked? I guess I'll have to ask for more strict security for the others too." Taehyun is deep in thought. "If I put the Taesan group on the line here, not only will I be able to wrap this up properly, it'll only put me personally in a pinch. Also, right now the Taesan group isn't even the main problem." He tries to activate his skill again, but the system alerts him. Insufficient physical ability, unable to use predation due to overload. Taehyun is frustrated. "This though, I can't use it because my physical abilities aren't enough. What the hell is the deal with the skill? So I just need to raise my stats then? The way to increase my stats?" After a moment of contemplation, he sighs. "Damn it, I guess that's the only choice, huh?" The scene transitions to a building, the Blackhead Training Center, one of the best in the New South Korea Association. Inside, a woman named Yura greets two young boys who have just walked in. She is taken aback when she realizes that the boys are Kim Taehyun and his brother. "Hey kids, this isn't your average training center," she starts to say, preparing to turn them away. However, Kim Taehyun presents a SVIP card, interrupting her. This should be enough for verification, right? Yura is surprised to see the card from Alchemist, one of the 4 guilds. She wonders, how come this kid has this? Is he the disciple of a high-ranking player? Or don't tell me he himself is one. But if I just give him the okay, this could become troublesome if things go wrong. What should I do? Just as she's pondering, a man comes forward laughing. "Looks like Yura has encountered an issue!" The man, a bodybuilder known as Iron Strongman, addresses Kim Taehyun. "Kiddo, money alone isn't enough to get you in." We learn that Iron Strongman is a B-rank trainer, not a player, a member at the Blackhead, and known as a rookie killer. The gym members are taken aback by the appearance of Iron Strongman, the infamous rookie killer. Everyone is surprised except for Kim Taehyun, who seems more irritated by the man's peculiar name than anything else. Iron Strongman strikes a pose and taunts Taehyun. "Do you see everyone trembling at the mention of my name? If you go back now, I might forgive you." Taehyun, however, is unfazed. He retorts, "What is this weak-ass piece of shit yapping about?" This response leaves everyone, including Iron Strongman, Yura, and Taehyun's brother, in shock. Iron Strongman stammers, "You dare say that I'm the weak one?" Taehyun, with a smirk, challenges him. "Well, if you don't believe me, want to bet on it? Let's have the loser pay a year's worth of membership fees." Iron Strongman, excited by the challenge, laughs. "Ha ha ha! Kid, you don't even know your place. But perfect. If that's the case." In the next scene, both Kim Taehyun and Iron Strongman are transported to a virtual reality world via VR headsets. Taehyun's brother is taken aback by this unfamiliar sight. Yura explains, "That's the Virtual Porter, a virtual reality program. It's a replica of the Abyss, where a competition is held to eliminate the most B-rank monsters as you race to the finish line in the shortest amount of time while carrying maximum weight. It's definitely the most popular way to establish a hierarchy in the training center, but he's at too much of a disadvantage against Iron Strongman." Iron Strongman, confident in his abilities, launches attacks on the monsters as soon as he enters the virtual world. He believes he is the strongest and is certain he will enjoy a year of free membership. However, his arrogance is short-lived. He notices a flash and turns back to see that all the monsters near him have been killed in an instant. The person responsible for this is none other than Kim Taehyun. As Taehyun moves forward, he easily destroys all the monsters. Iron Strongman is left speechless by this display of power. Taehyun then addresses him. I wasn't planning to keep coming here for more than 30 days, but this is definitely amazing training, considering it's with the maximum weight. Did you say you're Iron Strongman? Well, that was a nice little competition, but pay up and get lost. The scene transitions to the bustling player tryout stadium. The announcer's voice booms over the loudspeakers. How is everyone? Today marks the 30th day after the announcement of the change in the player tryouts. The day we've been waiting for is finally here, the player license exam. The Player Association has changed the player tryouts to allow minors to participate through recommendations, and people of all ages are flocking here to the association's testing center from all over the country. The crowd buzzes with anticipation as the announcer continues. The awakened, who we're really looking forward to, are the undefeatable fighter in close combat, Iron Fist A-Ranker Hong Jung-wook, with his outstanding combat sense. Even S-Rankers cannot look down on him. There is also A-Rank Lee Gilson and Busan's formidable Thunder God, who is an S-Rank Shin Yunbok. The announcer concludes with a flourish. And lastly, the one rumored to have recorded the best figures among all test takers this time, Saint-S-level prospect and S-Rank Lim Ah-hyung. Countless talented individuals are expected to participate this time. The atmosphere is electric as the crowd awaits the start of the much-anticipated player license exam. A large crowd has gathered, buzzing with anticipation. Our protagonist, Kim Taehyun, arrives just in the nick of time, having been delayed by a last-minute interview. He thinks to himself, I almost ran late because of that last-minute interview. With only a minute left before the test begins, the receptionist informs Kim Taehyun of the ticking clock. Unfazed, he thinks, well, even so, I should set up my image beforehand, and strides confidently into the tryout hall. Inside the hall, hundreds of students from all over South Korea have gathered to take the test. Suddenly, a woman gasps in surprise, causing Kim Taehyun to turn and see what's happening. The woman is Lim Ah-hyung, who is utterly shocked at how much Kim Taehyun has grown in just a month. She can only utter, Kim Taehyun. Kim Taehyun greets her. Oh, if it isn't the class president? Lim Ah-hyung asks him about his sudden transformation, to which he casually replies, you mean this? I just did a bit of training. She finds it hard to believe, thinking, this is just a bit? I heard he awakened, but can someone change so much within just 1 month? Just as Lim Ah-hyung is about to ask Kim Taehyun about an incident at school, the examiner steps up to announce the rules of the test. Young people who shall bear the future of the new Korea. Welcome, everyone. This is the first testing ground to select the awakened who will become players. Here are the rules of the first test. First, look at your chest. Each of you will have your own numbered exam ticket. The test this time is to collect 5 of them, including your own. In other words, if you don't have your own, you're out. As some call it, this is an exam ticket scramble. The time limit is only 1 hour. All methods are allowed except murder. In that case, the first test starts now. As the examiner concludes his speech, the ground begins to move. The entire area transforms, and the ground starts to fly in the air in blocks. As the strongest contender, Lim Ah-hyung becomes the target of a collective attack. However, she retaliates with her S-level talent and effortlessly defeats all her opponents in one fell swoop. The association members, observing from a room, are in awe of her abilities. One member comments, "A prospective saintness rank indeed, huh? Such amazing ability." Another member chimes in, "The other participants are no joke either. Each and every one of them outperformed the previous test takers. Among them, I'm especially looking forward to Busan's S-Ranker, Shin Yunbok." 20 minutes into the test, far from letting someone get a decisive blow in, he hasn't let a single person approach him. Truly marvelous talent. I wonder which one of Lim Ah-hyung or Shin Yunbok will get the upper hand. Meanwhile, the association manager Go Tae-wook is preoccupied with something else. He thinks excitedly, "Their interest is understandable considering their ranks. However, I saw those unbelievable numbers. Kim Taehyun, you'll breeze through this test with ease." Show them all, Kim Taehyun. The power that you hold, all of it. However, his excitement quickly turns to disbelief as he notices Kim Taehyun struggling in a fight. He mutters, "What? What?" He can't believe his eyes and shouts, "What the hell is this?" He had thought Kim Taehyun to be above S rank, but here he was, getting beaten by an A rank. In disbelief, he says to himself, "Did I misjudge Kim Taehyun's abilities? I can't believe a mere A rank awakened is holding him back. Not to mention he didn't even dodge a single attack." But then, while observing Kim Taehyun's fighting patterns, a realization dawns on him. Wait, he didn't dodge a single attack? Don't tell me. The scene shifts to a fierce battle between Kim Taehyun and an A rank awakened, Hong Jung-wook. Hong Jung-wook's skill is Iron Skin, while Kim Taehyun wields the Stone Skin skill. As Kim Taehyun charges towards his opponent, he doesn't dodge the incoming attack. He takes a hit to the face, blood trickling down. Seeing that Kim Taehyun intentionally took the hit, Hong Jung-wook shouts in anger, "You fucker! Are you looking down on me? Stone Skin is the perfect inferior counterpart to Iron Skin. As if it's not enough, you're fighting me head-on. You keep taking hits that are off the mark." Unfazed, Kim Taehyun taunts him. "Oh God, you talk too much." This enrages the A rank awakened even more. Kim Taehyun, however, remains calm and says, "That's exactly why there's a meaning to it." At this moment, the system notifies Kim Taehyun, stamina has increased by 1. Charm has increased by 1. While fighting, Kim Taehyun reflects, "Even after a month of training, the seal on Predation wasn't lifted. It's probably because my stats still aren't good enough. The way to increase stats in training is by stimulating my body as much as it can handle. That means fighting to the limit is the best training method. That's why I haven't finished training yet." Finally, Kim Taehyun defeats the A-rank guy, Hong Jung-wook, and now he has 2 tickets. Go Tae-wook bursts into laughter, exclaiming, "He's not a normal after all!" His excitement doesn't go unnoticed by the other association members. One comments, "Deputy Manager Go's all worked up," while another adds, "I bet he's really excited about the prospects this time, huh?" Go Tae-wook is deep in thought. I can't believe he's using this training method in the middle of such a large-scale survival game. Kim Taehyun. Your boldness has sent a chill down my spine. However, this is going to be a problem now. I know it's for the sake of his stats, but the fight just used too much of his stamina. Right now, it would be best to conserve his stamina and target the weaker guys to collect their tickets. Suddenly, the other association members spot something unusual. "Oh, who is that? A C-rank awakened? Doesn't he even know who he's going up against? Or maybe he's trying to get himself eliminated?" The scene shifts to Kim Taehyun, who is standing in front of a man who has defeated everyone around him. This man is the S-rank awakened, Shin Yunbok, who now holds 147 exam tickets, acquired after defeating other contestants. Shin Yunbok, seeing Kim Taehyun standing in front of him, asks, "Who are you?" Kim Taehyun, unfazed, starts counting Shin Yunbok's tickets. "Whoa, how many tickets do you have? 1, 2, 8? Fuck it as long as it's more than 5. The intense battle between Kim Taehyun and Shin Yunbok begins. Kim Taehyun skillfully dodges all of Shin Yunbok's attacks. Finding an opening, Kim Taehyun applies his Stone Skin skill to his leg and launches an attack. However, his Stone Skin shatters against Shin Yunbok's S-rank Thunder skill. Shin Yunbok taunts Kim Taehyun. "Damn, you're pretty quick, huh? I can't even see your attacks." He then blocks Kim Taehyun's attack, causing a blast on the stage. Kim Taehyun jumps backward, thinking, Busan's S-ranker, Thunder God, Shin Yunbok. Who would have expected he'd be so tricky? Not only does he envelope himself with powerful lightning to block all attacks, I can't believe his destructive force gives him a reach that makes both melee and ranged fights possible. With me unable to use Predation right now, how the hell do I break through it to attack him? As Kim Taehyun strategizes, Shin Yunbok challenges him. "Why aren't you coming at me? Want me to come to you?" This surprises Kim Taehyun. Suddenly, Shin Yunbok launches an attack, carrying thunder in his hand. Kim Taehyun narrowly dodges the attack, but Shin Yunbok follows him, shouting, "Where? Are you running off to?" This time, Shin Yunbok's attack finally hits Kim Taehyun, causing him considerable pain. While attacking, Shin Yunbok taunts, "Ha ha ha! Didn't you want to fight? You shouldn't be running away then!" At that moment, Kim Taehyun frees himself from Shin Yunbok's thunder attack. He covers his right arm with his stone skin skill and launches another attack at Shin Yunbok. However, his stone skin shatters once more against Shin Yunbok's thunder skill. Suddenly, a huge flash engulfs the stage, blinding Kim Taehyun. Shin Yunbok jumps high into the air, preparing his thunder attack. He launches it at Kim Taehyun, causing the entire platform to start crumbling. Kim Taehyun is hurt, but Shin Yunbok seems to enjoy his pain, saying, "Ha ha ha! Are you enduring this as well? That's kinda awesome of you." While attacking, Shin Yunbok thinks, "The hell! So you were here too. All that time, while everyone was busy running away from me, I thought Lim Ah-hyung was the only one who could entertain me in the player tryouts. But you were here too. Such a fun little toy." Suddenly, a stone comes flying toward Shin Yunbok, striking him on the forehead. Surprised, he thinks, What's going on? There's no way his attacks could reach me." The attack came from Kim Taehyun. Our boy launches another attack, which lands on Shin Yunbok's stomach, leaving him looking completely defeated. Kim Taehyun, in the midst of his attack on Shin Yunbok, contemplates, "Stone skin is certainly no match for Thunder God's fury. Far from piercing through him, even at his highest performance, it'd merely strike with the other, get crushed to pieces, and disappear. But in this place, the player tryouts grounds, it's different. It's made of a material that can withstand the power of the awakened in the first place. So unlike stone skin, while it may shatter, it won't lose its shape. So if I use it as a weapon and somehow manage to pierce through Thunder God's fury, then Shin Yunbok, you'll be no match for me." And then, the unthinkable happens. Shin Yunbok, the S-Rank awakened, is finally defeated by Kim Taehyun. The association members, witnessing this unexpected turn of events, are taken aback. They comment in disbelief. "What on earth is happening? An S-Rank awakened lost to a C-Ranker. Kim Taehyun? Who the hell is he?" Seeing their reaction, the association manager can't help but smile. He thinks to himself, making butterflies in people's stomach. He's one hell of a guy. But then, something interrupts his thoughts. In the next scene, we see Kim Taehyun collecting all the tickets after defeating Shin Yunbok. He says, "With that, I've acquired all of my exam tickets. Now all that's left is to wait for the exam to end." As he relaxes, suddenly a block of ice attacks him from behind. He dodges it at the last moment, surprised to see ice being used as an attack. He notices more attacks about to be launched at him. Suddenly, the whole platform where he is standing gets covered in ice. He sees a woman approaching him. It's Lim Ah-hyung. Kim Taehyun is surprised as to why she attacked him. Lim Ah-hyung comes near Kim Taehyun and stands in front of him. Kim Taehyun wonders, why did Lim Ah-hyung come here? How long has she been watching the fight? Lim Ah-hyung breaks her silence and says, "I believe that with great power comes great responsibility. Power without responsibility is simple violence. Kim Taehyun, you're pretty strong. I never would have imagined that you'd defeat Shin Yunbok like that." Kim Taehyun, unable to understand what she is trying to say, asks, "What are you suddenly?" She then says, "Right, you probably defeated Lee Jung-jae that way too." While completing her sentence, she attacks Kim Taehyun. Seeing this, he is shocked as he didn't expect this from her. Kim Taehyun dodges her attack and runs away from her attack as he is exhausted. He says, "Damn it, the snow's like a damn bomb. At this rate, stealth or whatever is just pointless." Suddenly, Lim Ah-hyung attacks Kim Taehyun with her leg, and he is thrown away. She shouts, "That day in the gym, I believed in you. I thought you were different from kids like Lee Jung-jae, that you wouldn't act recklessly out of pure self-interest. But after seeing your fight, I understand. In the end, Lee Jung-jae as well as Bae Hyuk-soo, it was all you're doing. Unauthorized use of skills is a crime, and those two are still in the hospital. But after all that you've been through, I won't report you. However, Withdraw from the player tryouts because you don't deserve to become a player. Hearing this, Kim Taehyun retorts, "Who the fuck are you to say that?" While in an injured state, Kim Taehyun stands up and says, "You couldn't even stop Lee Jung-jae's tyranny. Power, responsibility, deserving. When it comes down to it, all you want to do is eliminate me. I'd rather you use the survival test as an excuse rather than acting so pathetic." Lim Ah-young was shocked after hearing Kim Taehyun's response, and then she says, "So that's your answer. In that case, without having to go easy on you anymore." She then forms an ice spear using her S-rank skill and shouts, "I'm going to end you with this, Kim Taehyun." Our boy, Kim Taehyun, was frozen in place, thinking, after being shattered hundreds of times, stone skin lost its function long ago. Even if I use stealth, it gets disarmed immediately with Ah-young's attacks. The stat-boosting Monarch's heart is already active, but it's not enough to turn the tide. Predation is still sealed. I don't have the stamina to cast paralysis on her in a scuffle as I did with Lee Jung-jae. In the end, I only have one choice left. Kim Taehyun then runs toward Lim Ah-young, who also gets into her battle stance with the spear in her hand. The barrier covering the whole area explodes because of their collision. Because of this, all the association members were in panic, and one says, "What's happening in the fight? I can't see because of all this." Everyone was trying to see what happened, and Ho Tae-wook was also in awe seeing this and was worrying for Kim Taehyun. But suddenly his eyes were shocked in disbelief, and all the association members were also shocked by what they saw on the stage. Let's zoom to the stage to see what happened. Here we can see that Kim Taehyun was on Lim Ah-young, but with a closer look, he was kissing Lim Ah-young. Lim Ah-young was also shocked at what he was doing, but she was not able to move for some reason. Now, let's go back to the flashback to see what happened during their fight. As Kim Taehyun was running to attack Lim Ah-young, and she also attacks him with her ice spear, he dodges it, but jumps through her attack to attack her. At that crucial moment between life and death, Kim Taehyun's goal is to use paralysis, a stat-changing skill more effective in close distance rather than at a long distance and directed directly rather than indirectly, where the chance of success increases significantly. So, Kim Taehyun combined paralysis into his blood and made Lim Ah-young swallow it, considering an S rank that has monster-like resistance. This action was a bet, and the result was... Here, Kim Taehyun gets up, and we see that Lim Ah-young was on the ground, blushing at what Kim Taehyun did, but was paralyzed due to Kim Taehyun's skill. Then Kim Taehyun smiles and thinks, "Did I succeed?" Then the announcer announces, "The first phase of the trial is complete. The medical team will now move all candidates to safety. All candidates, please wait at the latest location. I repeat, the first trial is over." With the completion of the first trial, all candidates who were injured were treated immediately by the medical team. Even though Lim Ah-young suffered paralysis, she didn't lose her trial card and was still conscious, so she passed the first phase. As for Kim Taehyun, he managed to get 7 cards, and his unexpected achievement of defeating Shin Yun-bak and Lim Ah-young has made him the center of attention in this trial. As Kim Taehyun was walking in the lobby, every other participant was surprised as to how a C ranker could defeat Shin Yun-bak and Lim Ah-young, as they both were S rankers. As Kim Taehyun was tending to his wounds, which had recovered, he wondered if he could acquire recovery skills in the future. Then suddenly, someone shouts, "Kim Taehyun!" When Kim Taehyun turns around, he sees that it was Shin Yun-bak and launches an attack with his thunder power on Kim Taehyun. Kim Taehyun blocks his attack with his stone skill and is surprised. Shin Yun-bak, while attacking, says, "You can't use the same tricks here." Seeing Kim Taehyun and Shin Yun-bak fighting, other contestants were at first surprised as there was a fight, but then one shouts, "That's Shin Yun-bak! Is this a revenge match?" Instead of stopping their fight, they all started cheering for their fight, as if one of them would be injured, then one less candidate. They were cheering for Shin Yun-bak. Seeing this, Shin Yun-bak gets irritated and attacks all of them with his S-rank thunder attack. He says to Kim Taehyun, "Come on, Kim Taehyun, let's fight fairly this time." At this moment, Kim Taehyun knew that he was in trouble, and Shin Yun-bak shouts again, "If you don't have that lowly trick of yours, then let me teach you who's at the top." He was laughing as if he had won the battle. But suddenly Kim Taehyun felt pressure, and Shin Yunbok was also slammed to the ground as he also couldn't withstand the pressure. The pressure was so high, as we can see from the scream of Shin Yunbok. Kim Taehyun was trying his best to resist the pressure. Suddenly, a man walks towards them and says, "These inexperienced imbeciles are always... They can never let anything go quietly. Keep bragging without knowing yourself, really." As Kim Taehyun saw him, he thinks, "This guy? S-rank player Park Sung-jin, one of the strongest players of the new South Korean Player Association and a prospective SS-rank player." But as the man saw Kim Taehyun resisting his pressure, he says, "What? There's someone who can still stand?" And he increases the intensity of the pressure to make Kim Taehyun go to the ground, but he still didn't go down. Kim Taehyun thinks, "Damn. I know that the awakened S-class and player S-class are different, but how could it be different to this extent?" As the man sees Kim Taehyun resisting, he says, "Look at this guy. He's still standing even after this much power. Even veteran players can't stand it. If so, then let's see." Then he tries to increase the intensity of pressure again, but suddenly, as he was doing so, a voice came. "Player Park Sung-jin, what are you doing?" And then he stopped, and it was the association doctor. The doctor shouts at the man, attacking the students who just finished recovering. "Are you planning to get rid of them before the second phase even starts?" Then the man tries to give an excuse and says, "Get rid? I'm just disciplining them." The doctor doesn't believe and says, "Liar. You're testing your skill under the guise of doing discipline in every trial. We can't take it anymore. If you do this one more time, I'll report this to the head of the association." Then he turns around and sees that our boy Kim Taehyun completely withstood his S-rank pressure and didn't go down. Then the man asks Kim Taehyun about his name. Hearing this, Kim Taehyun was surprised at first, but then he replies, "Kim Taehyun." Then the man thinks in his mind, Kim Taehyun, the C-ranker who defeated Shin Yunbok and Lim Ah-young. Finally, an impressive candidate appeared after a long time. Then the man pats Kim Taehyun on his shoulder and says, "You're definitely targeting the S-rank players, aren't you? I'll be waiting." And then he leaves from there. Kim Taehyun was not able to process all the events that happened and was confused. Now in the next scene, we see all the test takers gathered in a forest as the second trial is about to start. We can see a man standing on stage to give instructions, and he was the S-ranker Park Sung-jin from before. Then he says, "Have you all finished resting, friends? Okay then, we will start the second trial. The location of the second trial is the gate in front of you, a D-rank dungeon. A dungeon is a door that connects to a different space and dimension." Hearing this, all the test takers were in a panic as it was their first time in a real dungeon with monsters. Then the S-ranker Park Sung-jin continued explaining, "Each group consisting of 5 candidates will enter the dungeon through the gate. A team with a player assigned as a supervisor will explore the dungeon. During dungeon exploration, all actions will be evaluated. Weapons and consumable goods will be provided by the association. Now, take turns and enter the gate in front of you." Hearing all this, Kim Taehyun starts thinking, the second trial is a dungeon. Even beginners who have no real experience should be able to be in a D-rank dungeon, especially with a player. Double dungeon apocalypto. We just hope it's not that. Inside the D-rank dungeon at the second player trial location, there was the first double dungeon ever discovered. Including the first explorer party, a lot of victims were annihilated, which led to dungeon break-ins, various undiscovered dungeons. If only we could prevent it first. But they will not possibly believe my unbased words, and even if it was revealed, I would be suspected. It's a shame, but let's just focus on the task. As long as I'm not part of the first explorer party, there must be enough ways to survive. When he goes inside the dungeon, his face becomes tired as he sees who his supervisor is, the A-rank player Ma Do-hak. Side note, this guy is a part of the party that first discovered Apocalypto. So in short, Taehyun is in trouble. The other contestants easily take care of the golems that are inside of the dungeon, with Do-hak congratulating them for their impressive combat decisions, even though this is their very first battle. He can tell right now they are definitely fit to be players. The others feel overwhelmed by the amount of praise coming from their instructor. But Taehyun has other concerns, as he laments having to be on the first discovery team, even if the future may have changed with him. He still thinks that this is the team, as Do-hak is wearing the unique item that the first discoverer of the double dungeon was wearing, the Sage Ring, an item that boosts strength, stamina, speed, and mana tenfold. Even with these stats, the Apocalypto double dungeon is still S rank, so he needs to not get swept in it, as he will not survive without predation in its state. He has to make sure that these guys don't find Apocalypto, not even a hint of it. Eventually, the party arrives at a crossroads with one of the player candidates asking Do-hak what they should do. He tells them to remain calm, as this happens all of the time, so first they should take a majority vote to see where to go. In that second, Taehyun just rushes forward, with Do-hak urging him to come back as it's very dangerous. Taehyun, however, does not stop, as he doesn't want the decision-making to be left to them. He will make them go in a different direction so that they never find Apocalypto and live longer lives. Unfortunately for him, his actions are his undoing as he lands right next to the Apocalypto dungeon, something which makes him sweat and breathe heavily. Once he sees it, he can't believe that even though he ran about, this is still where he wound up. Before the others can reach for it, Taehyun screams at them to stop, as this gate is different from any other normal gate. It's weird. So, they should report this incident before doing anything. Isn't that the correct thing to do here? Do-hak agrees. Certainly, this is his very first time seeing something like this, and reporting it back to headquarters would be the wise thing to do. However, a player sometimes needs to act unwise, so they should try going in before Taehyun can ask him anything else. Do-hak pushes him aside and says that he fully understands his concerns, but the mana he is sensing from this gate is minuscule, not worthy to worry about. It's a mere D-rank dungeon. Even if something happened, they have an A-rank player with a unique item in here. Inside of the dungeon, rules don't matter. Even if they did, exploring the dungeon will definitely score them even more points than any others. Taehyun tells him that, even so, the exploring rules are still in place even though this is a test. Do-hak turns around and points at him. He is the one who defied the rules first, isn't he? The others jump on him as he was the one who ran away to this place, and how does he dare to question an active A-rank player like this? Taehyun can't believe the gall of these people, but Do-hak says that with this, it's decided. Before Taehyun can urge him to give this more thought, Do-hak snaps his fingers, and a white light engulfs all of them, sending them to the S-rank dungeon, a dungeon that they have no place being in, Apocalypto. The hall they were sent to seems to be guarded by a large knight. The player candidates question Do-hak about this. Wasn't this dungeon supposed to be D-rank? Taehyun tells them to shut it as it's too late now, so they should look in front of them as they are coming from the fog. Two A-rank Death Knights approach, making Do-hak's world crash onto him as he starts sweating bullets. He tells everyone to get prepared for battle, and that's when the Knights charge in with a powerful double attack, which the party manages to dodge, allowing Do-hak to retaliate by creating a bunch of lava spikes and impaling the Death Knights with them. This allows the player candidates to start attacking with everything they got, be it flaming swords or rocky shields, all of this while Do-hak guides them. Eventually, they do manage to take down the Death Knights, with the player's candidates thinking that they are safe and that they could actually take many more of these. But he will soon eat his words as an elite squad appears behind them, ready to take their lives at any point. This naturally shocks the player candidates, but not Taehyun, as he is checking the corpses of the other Death Knights and notices that something is seriously off in this place. The fight with the Death Knights continues, with Do-hak trying his best to keep them at bay, but they just keep coming. And what's more is that the player candidates are at their limits. If this keeps going on, they will all die here. Taehyun comes around and tells Do-hak that something is wrong, with Do-hak being amazed that he isn't tired at all, even though he fought for so long, same as them. Just who is he? Additionally, if he didn't have the Monarch Heart skill, they would have all died a long time ago already. He asks him what is, and Taehyun explains that he's just taking a guess here, but these things are not Death Knights, which makes the other player candidates think he's talking nonsense. What have they been fighting all of this time? Taehyun picks up one of the big swords and says that he will find out right now, so they should sit still. He engulfs his fist in rock and charges into the countless Death Knights who all try to pierce him with their attacks, but he jumps high into the air and leaps over them, aiming to attack the large Death Knight that stands motionless in the front. He eventually pierces something, making the entire room start to crumble, and the Death Knights who were behind him disappear. The others are shocked to see this happen, and Taehyun comes around to explain this was actually an illusion trap, which showed them an imaginary space and enemies. It is a tactic used to drain the energy of any intruders. One of the player candidates says that it can't be. They struggled this much against a mere illusion. Dohak also asks how he knew this was a trap, as he shouldn't have fought with a Death Knight ever before. Taehyun notes that even though he does not know much, there is no way that the Death Knights are really this weak. This statement shocks Dohak, but Taehyun tells them to get a move on before they get attacked by something else. Even after the illusion faded away, things did not get any better, as after Apocalypto manifested, the dungeon was completely transformed from its usual self, and the injuries that were inflicted in the illusion battle got worse. But they also couldn't just find a way for someone to come and rescue them. Their only hope of escaping was to find the dungeon exit. Eventually, they find it as Dohak feels it's just right before this skull-infested gate. One of the candidates asks if it's not even more dangerous, but Dohak says they have no choice here. This time, it's really do or die. When they open the gate, they see a single Death Knight bowing down, making the player candidates laugh. However, as the night rises, more and more of the room lights up, and eventually, the entire room is revealed with an entire tall room being absolutely filled with Death Knights, something which these guys can never hope to defeat. Suddenly, a loud laugh can be heard from above. These lowly humans actually dared to come all of the way here. How brave. But now, the final battle will commence. This is the Master of Apocalypto and the Lord of the Death Knights, an S-rank creature. The Death Knights all pull up their weapons and then aim them at the group, with one of the candidates asking why they are doing this. Taehyun notes that they are requesting a one-on-one duel, making the candidates go insane with fear as they don't have a chance. Taehyun tries to calm them down, but they start running away as they would rather wait things out. But unfortunately, the Death Knights do not allow them to leave. With a single powerful slash, one kills all of them. Taehyun is shocked, but tells Dohak to take this girl and go, as he will stall for time and find a way out of this mess. Before he can fully turn around to him, Dohak pushes him away and seals the entrance with his abilities, making Taehyun ask what the hell he's doing. Dohak tells him to shut it. How dare a lowly awakened person like him act up like this? In truth, he also wanted to become an S-rank player. However, no matter how much he improved and trained, it was never enough. This case was his chance. If he could solve this, he could get treated better and perhaps rise to the next rank. But in the end, he took the lives of some innocent candidates. As a Death Knight attacks him, he uses his wind ability to slash it. He tells Taehyun that even if it infuriates him, he has the talent to rise through the ranks. He is different. So he should take the injured away and run as far as humanly possible, because as their supervisor, stopping them is his sole duty. Taehyun is amazed by his spirit, but unfortunately, the girl he was carrying already passed away. There is nothing they can do. With a large thud and explosion, the wall behind Taehyun explodes as the knights have taken Dohak down, with his last words only being heard by Taehyun. The knights move past the bodies they laid on the ground, and one points the sword towards Taehyun, who only now has felt true fear. The Death Knight requests a duel, as he is the last one remaining. Taehyun notices something glistening on the ground, Dohak's unique ring. The knight takes his silence as a refusal to the duel, so he attacks him, but Taehyun moves swiftly to grab the ring, as this is the only thing that can rescue him now. He puts it on and begs for Predation to finally wake up as the knights charge in to finish his living days. Predation engulfs all of them and consumes them whole in a red flurry of destruction. The Lord is shocked by that amount of power, with all of his stats being increased by 10. The conditions have been met, so the seal on Predation has been lifted. Taehyun continues to fight using Predation, but the knights just keep rolling in without any sign of them stopping. He thinks that Predation takes about 10 seconds to consume, so he can't only depend on this skill. He must use all of the other ones and his knowledge to get out of this place. Only then might he have a chance of survival. As he continues fighting, though, something rather big hits the exact spot he is in. A gigantic spear, which he notices was thrown by the Lord himself, who is now commanding all of his weapons to fall down on Taehyun. He tries to dodge them, but even he cannot match their speed. So, in a last-ditch effort for survival, he tries to use Predation on the Lord, but with a single sweep of his dark hand, the Predation breaks. The Lord admits that he is indeed powerful, but he is biting off more than he can chew here. With that, he hits Taehyun with his dark blade, standing above him with his boot on his head. Before he dies, he has one last question for him. Who gave him this power? He tries to use the Knight's Roar ability on him, but Taehyun resists it. Even though it seems that it hurts him, the Lord already knows that unlike the other humans, he could understand him from the get-go, so he should speak now. Who dared to bestow this power upon him? Taehyun continues to scream, but inside of his head, he stands in front of Asmodeus, beside him the bodies of his comrades, and behind him, the Lord preparing to cut off his head. He feels that nothing is different than how it was before. Questions like what exactly predation is, and how a human like him can understand the monster language, he is too tired to ask them anymore. He acquired this power in a chance, but still, nothing really changed. Why did that king even give someone like him this kind of power? That's when the king answers. He already told him why before. He was simply touched by his tenacity and determination to not give up even when facing death. He does not need to change at all. He just has to move forward no matter what. Taehyun's eyes start growing even redder, with the Lord noting that he must not have strength to answer anymore, so he will grant him the mercy of death. This is his end. However, Predation starts to rip through the Death Knights that were above, something which surprises the Lord, but he laughs as this insect is trying to go berserk with that skill of his, but his condition will worsen because of it. Taehyun continues gaining stats, but the Lord continues to laugh as he enjoys this last struggle. Truly, this has entertained him more than any court jester could. He tries to attack Taehyun with a powerful earth-splitting blow, but even if the attack lands, Taehyun blocks it with his hand and asks if he's still curious about what this power is, because he will show it to him firsthand with this attack. Taehyun advances to B rank and pushes the Lord back. He picks up a weapon from the ground and charges in with them, trading countless blows as the Lord starts to crack. He becomes even more enraged and uses all of his power to send numerous weapons toward Taehyun as he will not lose against a lowly human. With one clench of his fist, Taehyun creates a mouth of the Predation which rushes to consume the Lord, who now stands defenseless. Taehyun tells him that this power is not a human power, it is the power of a king. With that, the Lord is killed in a powerful explosion. Taehyun also gains a new skill, the Night King's Spirit. We are shown a scene outside the dungeon where we see that all the teams have come out. However, the portal is behaving strangely. Park Sung-jin is present and notices this odd behavior. He asks his secretary, "What's the magic reading?" When his secretary checks it, she is surprised and says, "Sir, it's S rank." She then adds, "The evacuation order has already been given, but the deformation within the dungeon is causing a delay." Hearing all this, another association member beside her says, "We're not sure if the support squad will be able to arrive before the dungeon break." Hearing this, Park Sung-jin is irritated as he thinks, "Damn it, S-rank magic out of a D-rank dungeon just out of the blue? At this rate, everyone will be killed. Will I have to step up all alone after all?" Suddenly, very powerful energy starts to emanate from the dungeon, scaring all the members who move backward. Park Sung-jin warns everyone that a dungeon break is happening and to get ready, but nothing happens moments later. Seeing this, someone asks, "Sir, what happened? Why is nothing coming out of the dungeon?" Park Sung-jin replies, "Wait, what is this? This isn't a monster, it's a human." We see someone coming out of the dungeon. It is none other than Kim Taehyun, covered in blood, and he says, "Just barely, but I made it back." The narrator tells us that thanks to Kim Taehyun, the double dungeon incident came to an end. The test takers managed to evacuate without much harm, and the results of this round were based on assessments from before the second round of the exam. The corpses of the dead were retrieved and returned to the families of the deceased intact. Then, we see a scene at the Hunter building where someone is saying, "We decided not to disclose who cleared Apocalypto. We had to face rebuke from the press, but if we tell the truth, it's obvious that Kim Taehyun will become a target of the press and villains." We see that the person speaking is Deputy Manager Go Tae-wook, and Park Sung-jin is also present. Tae-wook says, "Well, since that can't be helped." Park Sung-jin joins in and says, "Of course we can understand that." Here we see that this person is the president of the Hunter Association, and he asks for their opinions on this matter. Hearing this, both of them remain silent. So the president says again, "Kim Taehyun, or rather the man who cleared the S-rank dungeon Apocalypto?" Park Sung-jin responds, "Well, that guy cleared an S-rank dungeon all on his own, so he's at least at the level of an S-rank player." Tae-wook adds, "With his actual rank currently much lower than that, the powers he possesses are just as hard to estimate." Hearing both of them, the president says, "By that, you mean?" Hearing this, they both start looking at each other, so the president hints that there's a high chance Kim Taehyun might be at the rank of a nation's entire force. The scene then changes, and we see a red moon. This is the scene of the abyss which we saw in the first part. This is the place where Kim Taehyun died. Let's continue. We see Kim Taehyun noticing many powerful high-ranking monsters moving in one direction. Seeing so many monsters, Kim thinks, "What the hell is this? Monsters? How come I'm in the abyss?" Then he notices a bright light coming from above, and when he looks up, it is the king in the sky, the one who gave Kim Taehyun his powers. As Kim Taehyun sees the king ahead, he is shocked, thinking, "What is the king doing here?" All the monsters start to attack the king, but the king raises his hand towards them and uses his power. We see that with one move, the king kills all the monsters. Seeing this, Kim Taehyun is astonished and thinks, "The king is really powerful. Will I ever be as powerful as the king?" We see the king say, "Yes, you can become as powerful as I am." Hearing this, Kim Taehyun thinks, "I thought I was seeing the king's memory, but am I actually in front of the king?" The king continues, "You must come to the abyss. I will be waiting for you there." Kim Taehyun then opens his eyes and realizes he is in a hospital. He thinks, "Was that a dream? It couldn't have been. It was way too vivid for it to be a dream. What did he mean by 'he'll be waiting'? There's predation that even an S-rank monster was wary of. And then there's me understanding the monster's language. The questions just keep increasing. Is getting stronger and going into the abyss the only way after all?" He opens his status window and sees that his rank has risen to B, and he has acquired a new skill named Night King Spirit of rank B. With this skill, he can overpower his enemy with spirit mana. Seeing this, Kim Taehyun is happy and thinks, "As I thought. I had an inkling while fighting the Death Knight Lord, but I actually advanced to B rank. With these stats, I could rival an S rank player too, Night King Spirit. I'm sure that's the skill that pressed me down with overwhelming pressure. At this rate of growth, it won't be long before I reach the rank of a nation's entire force." At that moment, Kim Taehyun hears a lot of noise at the door, as if someone is trying to enter but is being stopped by bodyguards. Suddenly, there are loud shouts, and Kim Taehyun is very surprised. The door opens, and a person enters, saying, "My goodness, I can't believe they wouldn't even let me visit a sick person." Kim Taehyun is shocked to see that this person is Lim Ah-young's elder sister, Yoo Ah-young, who is also the guildmaster of Nightwalkers. Smiling, she calls Kim Taehyun "darling." The scene changes, and we are shown a car. Someone says, "Guildmaster, I think it's better if I drive, after all." The person driving is Yoo Ah-young, with Kim Taehyun sitting beside her. She says, "He's my guest, so let me handle this." Kim Taehyun asks, "What does the guildmaster of the Nightwalkers, one of the 4 great guilds, want from me?" Yoo Ah-young replies, "Oh, didn't I tell you? I'm just dropping you off at home after your discharge while also seeing who it was that managed to survive Apocalypto." Feeling something off, Kim Taehyun asks again, "A guildmaster of one of the 4 great guilds moved for a trivial reason like that?" Please tell a more plausible lie. She smiles, as if caught, and says, You're pretty sharp, huh? Well, okay, in that case, do you know what'll happen in the third round of tryouts? She goes on to explain, Round 3 will be a survival game similar to Round 1. But unlike Round 1, outsiders can watch as the audience. Then your powers will be made public, and all the guilds will surely start coveting the low-rank awakened who even beat an S-rank dungeon. Kim Taehyun stays silent, so she continues. Let me make an offer you can't refuse before that. Money? Fame? Kim Taehyun, I'll give you anything you want, so join the Nightwalkers. Confident that Kim Taehyun will say yes, she is shocked when he simply replies, Not interested. Yoo Ah-young, stunned, says, What? The scene changes to near Kim Taehyun's house. As he gets out of the car, he says, Anyway, thanks for seeing me off. I'll walk from here. Hearing this, Yoo Ah-young is surprised and shouts, What the hell? But why? Did you even hear what I said? Whether it's about your salary or any other condition, I'm telling you I'll do it for you. Or did you already get an offer from another guild? Or did you misunderstand something? At this point, Kim Taehyun is getting annoyed with her persistence. He replies, Please don't misunderstand. There's no special reason. Hearing this, she is shocked. As Kim Taehyun starts to walk away, he says, There's no other guild or condition. Is the Nightwalkers Guild really all that special? I'm just saying no because I don't want to. I'll get going now. Yoo Ah-young is flabbergasted and speechless. As Kim Taehyun slowly walks away, she suddenly grabs him from behind, placing her hand on his face. Kim Taehyun is surprised when he looks back and sees her. Yoo Ah-young, releasing her aura in anger, says, What the hell is your deal? You're just getting started as a player, and you dare reject one of the 4 great guilds without a reason? That makes 0 sense. She then releases him and says she will forgive him because she likes him, so he should change his decision. Kim Taehyun is getting irritated by all this. Seeing the tension, the driver gets worried and shouts, Guildmaster! He's still just a test taker. What on earth are you doing to him? Also you, Kim Taehyun, don't blow her off for no reason and accept the offer. You'll have to join a guild sometime anyway. But Kim Taehyun stops him and says, I see the stubbornness is exactly the same, as expected of Lim Ah-young's sister. Hearing this, Yoo Ah-young is surprised and asks, How did you know I'm her sister? Kim Taehyun replies, I know a lot about the stolen name too. Hearing this, Yoo Ah-young gets furious. We see a huge wave of energy emanating from her. It looks like Kim Taehyun stepped on her nerve, and now she is using her full power on him. The driver gets worried, thinking, This is bad. Guildmaster Yoo Ah-young's real name was actually Lim Ah-young. Yuksung Group's CEO Lim Chang-yong raised her, a child born out of wedlock, as an heir. But when another daughter was born into the family, her name, Lim Ah-young, was taken away, and she was reduced to an outsider. The fact that she changed her surname when she became a player is something only a few people should know. Yoo Ah-young holds Kim Taehyun by his collar and angrily asks, How dare you yap away that nonsense in front of me? You're out of your mind, aren't you? Kim Taehyun calmly replies, You're the one who started it. Yoo Ah-young is stunned upon hearing this. Kim Taehyun then activates his skill, Predation, and with a devilish look grabs Yoo Ah-young's hand. He then activates his second skill, Night King's Spirit, which shocks Yoo Ah-young and forces her away from him. She is shaken and thinks, What is this power? It's not just that he was able to bear an S-rank player's power, he reversed it back at me? Meanwhile, Kim Taehyun stands there in style and begins walking toward Yoo Ah-young. Seeing this, she is stunned. As he gets closer, he corners her against the wall and says, Let's not cross the line, Ah-young's sister, Miss Ah-young. Seeing this, she is both embarrassed and angry, clenching her teeth in frustration. The driver, observing all this, is also shocked and thinks, Did he really just say that? The scene changes, and we learn that today is the 3rd test of the player tryouts, with a large crowd gathered. Inside the building, a significant audience has assembled to watch the 3rd test. The announcer says, The Colosseum, nostalgic of ancient Rome, is the venue for the 3rd round of player tryouts. Unlike the first and second rounds that weren't revealed to the public, round 3 allows an audience. People from the industry, family members of the test takers, and civilians are all in the arena to watch the tryouts. Among the audience, we see Yoo Ah-young disguised as a civilian to watch the tryouts. Kim Taehyun's uncle and aunt are also present, worried about him because the tryouts are very fierce. However, Hwang Jae-young, Kim Taehyun's cousin, laughs and says, "You don't need to worry about that. Taehyun is so strong. He could take all of them out in one blow. One blow." Jae-young is also the president of Kim Taehyun's fan club, which has only one member. Hwang Jae-young is very happy and praises Kim Taehyun a lot. We then see a news reporter, Kim Gi-ja, who is thinking, "Gotta get my hands on a proper news item this time." She is a rookie reporter on the verge of being fired. She is crying and thinking, "My last interview got scrapped for featuring a low-rank awakened. That child, Kim Taehyun, must have already been disqualified, right? I might actually be fired if I don't get an interview this time either." As she is crying, she hears people around her saying, "Doesn't the atmosphere feel a bit strange?" She looks at the arena and sees one person standing alone while everyone else is surrounding him. Surprised, she wonders what's going on and thinks, from countless high-ranking veteran awakened to Lee Gilson, the A-ranker who's a promising candidate for these player tryouts. They're all staring at just one guy. Don't tell me. Are they trying to take down that one guy by joining forces? How strong is he for them to... She is shocked when she sees the face of that person. Suddenly, the announcer announces, "Round 3 of the player tryouts shall soon begin. All viewers are requested to be cautious of the shock while watching." We see that the person is none other than Kim Taehyun, who is smiling and thinking, "This round is going to be a lot of fun." The announcer says, "Now, begin the test." Kim Taehyun's rank has now upgraded to B. All the players around Kim Taehyun moved forward to attack him, as they didn't want to give him time to react. They were shouting while attacking, "Get rid of him right away! He's taken down 2 S-rankers alone since the first round. If we don't eliminate him first, he'll take us all down." But at that moment, Kim Taehyun, with incredible speed, advanced toward them. Seeing his speed, everyone was shocked. He then activated his stone skin ability and started punching them rapidly. We see that he even broke one person's teeth, but he didn't stop there and continued to beat up everyone present very badly. A little while later, the scene shows that everyone is in a terrible state, while Kim Taehyun stands there. Suddenly, he notices a green light under his feet. It turns out to be a trap, and numerous vines emerge, capturing him. He is shocked and says, "What is this thing?" Then an A-rank player standing in front of him, laughing and saying, "You may have taken down 2 S-rankers, but having your guard down was your undoing. Now the final winner of this test shall be me, the A-rank genius, Lee Gilsan." But then, Kim Taehyun breaks the vines and quickly delivers a powerful kick to the A-rank player's face, knocking him unconscious. Kim Taehyun comments, "Oh, what happened? I didn't even attack properly, and you just happened to get under my foot, and you're knocked out already?" Seeing this, the other players get very angry and shout, "That damn monster! Everyone, keep attacking him continuously. No stopping. If we keep the attacks going, I'm sure he'll get exhausted at some point." At that moment, Kim Taehyun raises his hand toward them and activates his Night King Spirit skill. The players who were charging at him suddenly feel immense pressure and fall to the ground, unable to stand. We see a scene of Kim Taehyun with the Death Knight King appearing behind him, creating an iconic image. All the Awakeners attacking Kim fall to the ground and cannot get up. Everyone around is shocked by this. The reporter is also astonished, thinking, "What kind of power is this? This person is truly a monster." Yoo Ah-young, witnessing Kim Taehyun's immense power, is equally shocked and thinks, "That lunatic, how could he use that in the dead center?" We then see Kim Taehyun again, surrounded by unconscious players. He says, "And with that, we're all wrapped up. All that remains now is..." Then he sees someone coming toward him. It was Lim Ah-young. She was also affected by Kim Taehyun's skill and was tired. Seeing this, Kim Taehyun says, "What do you want to do, Lim Ah-young? I don't mind if you withdraw from the test right now. Or do you want a repeat of the first round?" Hearing this, Lim Ah-young gets very angry and embarrassed. Then she activates her ice power. Once again, she turns the entire area into a massive ice ball. Seeing this, Kim Taehyun thinks, as I expected, she will never back down from fighting me. But why does she need to create this crystal to fight? Then we see Lim Ah-young. She has taken out her hammer and says, Kim Taehyun, I think you'd better worry about yourself, because this time, that won't be happening. Hearing this, Kim Taehyun replies, Are you sure about that? A while later, we see that Lim Ah-young's ice crystal has now been destroyed and her hammer is broken. We then see Lim Ah-young falling to the ground, unconscious because Kim Taehyun has defeated her in the fight. Looking at Lim Ah-young, Kim Taehyun says, As expected of you, Lim Ah-young, you were still the most difficult opponent. At that moment, the announcer announces, With that, the player tryouts have ended. The top qualifier of these player tryouts is applicant number 920, Kim Taehyun. We see that everyone around is very happy about Kim Taehyun's victory, and they are all cheering for him. In the next scene, we see Kim Taehyun receiving his rewards, which include a dagger and some other prizes. We then see Kim Taehyun sitting in front of the chairman of the Hunter Association. The chairman says, Congratulations on becoming an S-rank player. By the way, I didn't expect you to single-handedly end the third round. Or rather, is it to be expected since you cleared Apocalypto? Then he starts laughing. Hearing all this, Kim Taehyun replies, I was merely lucky. Then the chairman, while looking at Kim Taehyun, says, Taehyun, how about joining the new South Korea Player Association? Hearing this, Kim Taehyun is shocked, as he never expected to get an offer from the Hunter Association. Then the chairman continues and says, What do you think about working for the new South Korea Player Association? The chairman was silently waiting for his response. Kim Taehyun was very surprised and thinks, Truly, a lot has changed. Put aside the fact that an unawakened like me became an S-ranker and even placed as the top qualifier, I even got a scouting offer from not just a leader of a great guild, but also Ji Jinhui, the greatest in the New South Korea Association. My goodness, even when you think you know this world, you really don't know what'll happen. Kim Taehyun then says, Sir, I am very happy that you offered me this opportunity, but I cannot accept your request because I do not want to join any guild. The chairman is quite surprised and says, Kim Taehyun, what are you saying? Kim Taehyun replies, There's no special reason for it. I just believe that rather than being a member of one of the 4 great guilds or the association, it'll be more effective to work alone. I'm sorry I couldn't be of any help to you. Hearing this, the chairman is initially very surprised, but then starts laughing, and Kim Taehyun also smiles but doesn't say anything. The chairman then sits back in his chair and says, I never imagined you'd say that you're better off alone rather than in the great guilds or the association. That level of confidence, all right. The chairman continues, In that case, how about we do something else instead of joining the association? Hearing this, Kim is very surprised and says, Something else? And then the chairman asks Kim Taehyun, Are you interested in participating in the Asian exhibition games? The scene changes, and we see many monsters attacking a person who turns out to be none other than Kim Taehyun. Kim Taehyun uses his skill, Predation, to kill all the monsters in one go. We then see Kim inside a dungeon, which he has completely cleared. However, Kim Taehyun was deep in thought about the chairman's proposal, where the chairman had asked him about the Asian exhibition games. He wonders if he will be able to pass the trial if he participates. Kim Taehyun then thinks, Asian exhibition games, 5 representatives are chosen from the associations and guilds of each country within Asia for a festival of hunting down villains and monsters. But to be picked as a national representative, to prove you've hunted down monsters and villains for the sake of the country, you would need to acquire some merit points. However, this game is not as easy as it sounds. To catch up to the merit points everyone's stacked over the years, I'm gonna have to hunt down monsters and villains that are way stronger. After this, we see Kim leaving the dungeon thinking, I've been clearing all the dungeons known to the New South Korea Association for a month, but far from getting merit points. I haven't been able to advance any further. I guess I have no choice. Even if it's dangerous, I'm going to have to go there after all. Kim exits the dungeon, and the scene changes. We see a mansion, inside which a man is holding another by his neck. If you guys remember, he is the father of Lee Jingjae from the first part, whom Kim Taehyun had beaten to death. The man hanging is the bodyguard who says, Chairman, please calm down. But the chairman is very angry and, in his rage, says, "Calm down? Taeson's heir, my son, is still in the damn hospital, and the culprit behind that is now an S-rank player on the rise. Yet you want me to calm down?" He then slams the bodyguard on the ground, and the bodyguard becomes unconscious from the impact. Then a woman from behind informs, "Chairman, there's a guest from the Malignant Guild." Still fuming, he asks, "What?" Then shouts, "Those rascals who couldn't get rid of one brat after stuffing all that money down their damn throats? How dare they show their faces? I'm going to—" As he was about to continue, he stops as he senses a dangerous presence and is shocked. We see the door behind the lady start to change, and a portal opens. But this is not just any portal. It's the power of the person who can pass through anything. The person coming through says, "The matter with your son was truly a shame. But you should calm down first. That lowly brat isn't Taeson's final target now, is he?" He looks afraid, but the man greets him and says, "Nice to meet you. I am the Vice Guildmaster of the Malignant Guild. You may call me Shadow." The scene changes, and we see a teleportation portal from which someone emerges. It turns out to be Kim Taehyun. At that moment, Kim Taehyun is surprised as he hears his name. When he looks forward, he sees a man standing with a poster with his name written on it, who continues to praise him, saying, "Sir, I'm so happy you're here. The Alchemist Guild has appointed me as your bodyguard and special guide. You are our VIP guest." The person then shouts, "Sir, please, can I get your autograph? I've been waiting for you ever since I heard you were coming." Kim Taehyun then thinks, "This place is Asia's greatest auction region, East Point, the largest in scale within Asia. Auctions items of the greatest quality, automatic interpretation skill support, and so on. East Point has a great deal of positive points, but even among them, the one point that's considered the best would be their security." Kim, astonished, signs the person's head and comments, "Well, I gave you an autograph, but did you really need it on your head?" The person, still full of praise, says, "Sir, I must tell you, I am the leader of all the security here, and I'm an A-rank hunter." The person then leads Kim into the auction house, explaining various things along the way. He adds, "Sir, I heard you came here to buy some potions. Don't worry, we have high-quality potions here, and since you're our VIP guest, we'll treat you very well." Meanwhile, Kim is smiling and thinking, "They believe I'm here for potions, but the real reason is to earn merit points. There's going to be a major terrorist attack here today, and the terrorists are very powerful." The scene then shifts to the auction, where a lady announces, "Finally, the most important and main elixir of this auction is here. It's called the Phoenix Elixir, and it's so powerful that drinking it once will permanently increase all your stats by 20%, giving your body a significant boost." The people in the auction start bidding millions for this potion, but Kim thinks, "This potion is indeed incredible. There's no doubt the terrorist attack will happen because they want this Phoenix Elixir. I could buy it, but I don't need to bid on it because soon the terrorists will attack this place. The problem is, I don't have any information about these terrorists. When this incident happened, all information was kept secret, and I don't even know who stopped the attack." Kim Taehyun's bodyguard then approaches with an ice cream, saying, "Sir, would you like some ice cream? It's very tasty." Kim Taehyun replies, "Mr. Park, forget the ice cream. Tell me, who is the chief security officer here?" The person is surprised and asks, "Sir, why are you asking this? Is there a problem?" Kim Taehyun says, "No, there's no problem here. I was just asking out of curiosity. Can't you tell me?" Hearing this, the person responds, "Sir, it's not a problem. But why are you suddenly asking about the chief security officer?" Just then, they hear someone laughing loudly, saying, "Is someone asking about me?" At that moment, we see a group of people walking toward Kim Taehyun, and everyone is surprised to see them. The leader of this group is the chief security officer, who says, "I can't believe the new S-rank hunter from South Korea is here. Why didn't anyone tell me earlier?" We are then introduced to this person, named Iski Ryohei, an S-rank hunter with the title, The Devil. Kim Taehyun asks, "Do you know me?" Kim Taehyun's bodyguard explains, "Sir, this is our chief security officer and also an S-rank hunter." He then quietly adds to Kim, "Sir, I didn't want to tell you about this person because I heard he's very dangerous. During a raid, he killed all his team members, which is why everyone calls him the Devil. Isaki extends his left hand to shake hands with Kim, saying, "I've heard you're very talented. Is that true?" Kim is surprised to see him offering his left hand and thinks, is he left-handed, or is he doing this on purpose? Kim shakes Isaki's hand with his left hand, and as soon as he does, Isaki releases a powerful aura. Kim feels immense pressure on his mind, and he's shocked, thinking, what is this? Is he using some kind of power? Why can't I move my body? Isaki smiles and says, just as I expected. He then starts laughing loudly, saying, you're really an S-rank hunter, which is why you could withstand my power. Otherwise, you'd be unconscious on the ground by now. Kim Taehyun is stunned and thinks, is this person really a psycho? How can someone behave like this during their first meeting? At that moment, Kim Taehyun hears people screaming and notices that some citizens are in pain due to Isaki's aura, with some even falling to the ground. Kim thinks, if I respond to this hunter, these citizens' lives could be in danger, so I can't do anything here. Then Isaki releases Kim's hand and hugs him, saying, I think that's enough to show you your place. Let me tell you, even though you're an S-rank hunter, you're not on my level yet. If you try to mess with me, you'll lose your life. So do what you came here to do, and get lost. Hearing this, Kim Taehyun gets very angry, but Isaki walks away laughing, saying, I hope you enjoy the auction. I hope we don't meet again because it won't be good for you. Watching him leave, Kim thinks, this person is truly a psycho. And since he's an S-rank hunter, dealing with him might be a bit difficult. And here, this part ends.